Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust here with your Sports Center update. First on The Fan, the Oregon Ducks remain a unanimous number one in the AP and coaches polls after a come-from-behind win over Wisconsin on Saturday. Likely to be the number one seed again in tomorrow's college football playoff rankings. A very solid chance they'll be the lone undefeated team after this weekend, with Indiana heading to Ohio State and Army going to Notre Dame. In the NFL, the Cowboys host the Texans for the Battle of Texas to wrap up Week 11 in the NFL. 5:15 kick on ESPN and ABC. Houston are 7.5-point favorites. Giants head coach Brian Daboll announcing today benching Daniel Jones in favor of Tommy DeVito. Jones will be the number 3 QB, with Drew Lock serving as the backup. Jones has a $23 million injury guarantee in his deal for next season that becomes fully guaranteed if he is injured and cannot pass a physical in the offseason. And in the association, the Blazers, riding a 3-game win streak, they hit the road for a 5-game trip now, starting Wednesday in Oklahoma City against the Thunder. The trip also includes a back-to-back in Houston against the Rockets and visits to the Grizzlies and Pacers. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes, excuse me. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Your favorite fan shows are on YouTube. Mash the subscribe button and like us for live streaming video and 1080 The Fan on demand. This is Danny and Dusty.
Meringatang is going to be a thing.
You're not coining anything new.
With Danny Meringue and Dusty, the Fan Man Hera.
I'll throw some monkey sounds in there and call it good.
The old Danny meringue pie.
Danny and Dusty on the Odyssey app and 1080.
Yeah, this is going to be awesome.
The Fan.
Good afternoon. Hey, welcome in. Happy Monday. How's everybody doing?
It's a Monday.
Yeah.
Tis a Monday.
Do we need to talk with Jeff Rust over here about something? I got a tweet that we got the dump buttons being used on Friday. I turned on my radio this morning for a Sports Center update at 10 a.m.
The Oregon Ducks.
It's not the Ducks.
Tell me how you really feel.
Whoops.
That was
Whoopsies.
we have a Rustervention here.
Yeah. Look, that's
going
what
on
happens
here.
when
You're
I
just
finally
getting a little risque.
That's what happens when I finally get to sit down at this computer at 9:53
Yeah.
for my 10 a.m. update, and I have to read off of Swag's script.
Yeah. Is that how he writes it?
Yes.
He wrote
Are you
Oregon
Ron
Ducks?
Burgundying this? Like, who put that on the prompter?
Yeah, the Oregon Ducks.
Oh man. Well,
Yeah.
all right.
I bookended the hell out of this weekend, didn't I?
Yeah, you sure did. You sure did. You
Not too
sure did.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Career weekend.
Yeah. I was in Madison, Wisconsin. Beautiful Madison, Wisconsin. It reminds you of Oregon, but no mountains.
Yeah.
It was a very Oregon vibe. in
Yeah, the
Wisconsin.
weather cooperated,
Yeah. The weather was great.
which, an atypical mid-November Madison, Wisconsin day,
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
It got cold. But it felt very Oregon-y. And
Yeah.
then apparently the snow is coming.
Oh yeah. No, I was
Yeah.
looking at the weather report on Friday for you, and I was like, look, we need to put this out there. Will Ortner was trying to jinx you.
Was he?
Yes.
That's okay. I thought I did it to myself on Wednesday when
Yeah.
we had
He
story
was-
time with Uncle
I mean,
Jerry.
he was really driving it home.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, it really wasn't that bad. Well, the elements we will talk about, because I thought that was a big miss by the NBC call on the elements that did play a factor. But no, it was okay. It was all right. Though there's a couple of things that I noticed about Wisconsin. People very nice.
Yes.
Great, just Midwestern sensibilities, don't you know? But they call it Oregon.
Well,
You can hear it on-
it's a
you can hear it-
hard.
well, they have a town
Oregon.
there. They have a town there called Oregon.
Yeah, no, yeah, it is. It's a sound that you go, what sound was that? And some people will go Oregon,
Oregon.
but then there's a Oregon,
Mhm.
and you're like, so what?
You can hear it on the PA.
And just
Yeah.
Oh,
The-
gonna
the,
squeeze.
the PA announcer
Yeah.
during the game, you could hear it on the broadcast saying
Yeah.
first down Oregon.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where it catches you.
I feel like
It
they should
catches
make
you.
one of those T-shirts just in the Wisconsin colors,
Mm.
the red and the white that just says "Oh."
Did not see the T-Pain shirt that you guys wanted. I was
Wow.
looking for it. I did see a bunch of T-shirts that say "Drink Wisconsinably."
Ooh.
Yeah,
Ooh.
yeah, drink
That's-
Wisconsinably.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good,
That
right?
is a good one. That's solid.
Boy,
Wow.
does it fit. They sold it was like one of the first shirts. It was in the airport. It's like one of the airport shirts.
It's like the Portland, Oregon, like the
Yeah.
deer sign
It-
kind of
it's-
deal, but
it's-
that's Wisconsin's
It's
version of it?
100%. It's the outline of the state of
Yeah.
Oregon, and in cursive
Perfect.
letters it says "Drink Wisconsinably."
Perfect.
And is in the airport. I was like, now they said people drink here, but all right, I'm keeping tabs on that. They're not wrong. Like
you-
all of those maps about like Wisconsin, most alcohol consumed per capita.
Mhm.
Boy, they go hard.
Well, now
in
here's the big
Madison.
question:
Yeah,
Did you hit the spotted cow?
I did. I'll get to spotted cow.
Okay.
I'll get to spotted cow. But people, they just went hard. It was like, whoa. And it was a kind of a weird thing in the tailgate area. They just like will drink and then it's just boom right on the ground. Like a cup, can, just boom on the ground. Finish it, drop it. It was weird. But then like the next day, the entire city is spotless. And apparently, like city works, like overnight, just boom, everything gets cleaned up. It's a beautiful campus, beautiful. It's like a great college town. It is. It's like a mixture of like Eugene, Corvallis, and Pullman, all just kind of rolled into one. There.
That's great for city works, but why can't people just throw their damn can or bottle or what have you in a
what they
trash
do.
can or a recycle bin?
Just what they do. Just like they listen to things very loudly too. Like music in restaurants, television in restaurants, very loud.
It's because they're always cold and wearing earmuffs.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I had cheese curds and spotted cow.
Oh, cheese curds. We call that at our household. It's the squeaky cheese.
Yeah. We had some cheese curds. We had
This is your first spotted cow, right?
Yeah.
What'd you think?
Spotted cow is In-N-Out.
You know-
Spotted cow is In-N-Out, where
Wow.
you hear about it a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and when you go there, you get it, right? Spotted cow is a good beer. It's a good beer.
Mm.
But just like In-N-Out, like you hear so much about spotted cow, and it's an ale, and
I was just
it's
going to say, what kind of
smooth.
a brewer are we talking
Yeah.
about here?
It's very smooth, and it's good. It's really good,
good
beer.
beer.
But just like In-N-Out, it's like it's a good fast food burger. It's a good fast food burger.
It is.
But it's not like everybody's just like pounds it over your head that no, this is going to be the
All
best.
right, well, look, it's an okay fast food burger.
That's not true. It's a very good fast food
and
burger. Come on.
And it's the least expensive of all of them. And it has the best service that you can imagine.
It is very reasonably priced. Yeah.
Like that's
and
the whole,
they,
that's
and
the
with
whole
those
point.
lines, they just boom, 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 boom. But it's like it's really good. Like you should try it. If you go to Wisconsin, you have to.
Yeah.
You have to get the spotted cow. But I wasn't like this changed beer for me,
Mm.
you know. But I think that they've got a great niche there. Putting the barriers up and saying we're not going to sell this outside of Wisconsin
Makes people come and get it.
made it so everybody that goes to Wisconsin will have spotted cow. It was good. It was good. The people were great. The people were very nice. It was it was a good experience in Madison, Wisconsin. I did end up meeting two guys. So I was walking up and I was going up to the press box at halftime. And I'm walking up the stairs and there's a guy walking down. And he goes, like there was just like a log jam of people. I got people behind me. He's got people behind him. You know, it's just like the stairway is just like he's trying to get in and he's like, will you get the F out of my way? And I was like, I would if I could, but I can't really move right now.
No.
You know? And so fast forward to after the game, I am like on it's called Regent Street in Madison, Wisconsin. I see that guy. And he is having a grand old time. And I'm like, hey, man, you remember telling me to get the F out of your way? And he was like, oh, my God, I'm so sorry. And his buddy was like, I told you you're a jerk. Turns out I end up talking with these guys for a while. Neither one of them are Wisconsin fans. They're from Salina, Kansas.
You're kidding.
Oh,
me.
no.
The land of the Roth.
They are from Salina. So I take a picture with these guys, and I send it to Rob. And Rob's like, oh, my gosh. All-American town right there.
Yeah, that explains why you didn't get the, hey, will you get the heck out of the way, yo?
Yeah, but
Salina,
the guy...
Kansas, population of 45,000.
Yeah, and one of the guys...
Unreal.
Apparently, his dad either is or was the mayor of Salina, Kansas.
Oh, my God.
Well, that can't be true because we all know that Isaac Ropp is the mayor
the
of
true
Salina.
mayor of Salina, Kansas. And then, come to find out, I'm talking with these guys. He's like, yeah, man, I actually just moved to Minneapolis from Portland, where I did my residency at OHSU. I was like, what? Yeah, the guy who told me to get the F out of his way.
Worlds colliding.
Is from Salina, just moved from Portland to Minneapolis. So those two guys were great. And it was just a very small world of, Salina, Kansas, the one guy in the stadium that decided to tell me to get the F out of his way. I was like, where do you want me to go?
Now, I feel like one thing that maybe has gone unmentioned yet in this first, almost 12 minutes of this program, the mustache.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you look like somebody who ties ladies to railroad tracks.
Whoa. Wow. I'm turning it up. I trimmed the beard down today. This was something that I ended up changing the mustache today because there will when you are the sober person around like a sea of drunk people.
I don't know how that goes.
It
shocker to nobody.
You hear a lot of the same things over and over again.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if the fine people of Madison and the University of Wisconsin fans are just big The Last of Us fans or what.
Yes.
I was asked 20 times what season 2 of The Last of Us is going to be like.
Oh, there you go. I told
there
you,
was
man.
one guy.
I told you when you first started growing this like a year ago. It's Pedro Pascal vibes.
Yeah, there was one guy.
You're a little bit of a, we'll call you the triple P, the pasty Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, there was one guy who, it was like, from like 30 feet away, convinced his buddy that I was Pedro Pascal, and then approached me and was like, hey, my buddy thinks you're Pedro Pascal. Just go with it. And I was like, I'm like a decade younger than him. And I don't really look like him. Except for you've been drinking all day, buddy.
No, you do have some hints.
Yeah.
You have some hints.
Yeah.
And the mustache hides your lip.
Yeah.
Which gives you the Pedro Pascal effect.
Yeah.
I have a terrible mustache. I look like a conquistador.
Me and Pedro
I think
Pascal.
that one is kind of back.
No. Yeah. Yeah, the stash is here. I'm curling up the edges for you party animals on YouTube. So we're rocking and rolling.
Have you invested in the mustache wax yet?
No.
No?
I mean,
so that's just au naturel?
Who are we kidding here? It's not going to be around long enough for this to be a mustache wax.
Yeah. Well, because the wives hate them. I know how that goes.
No.
My wife hates it.
Kind of likes
Yeah,
it.
my wife's in on mine. Yeah, that was
You don't have a mustache. You have a goatee, though.
It's the whole.
If you just went, no, it's not. When you just have this, Danny, it gives a lot of people the heebie-jeebies.
No. But I'm saying like my wife does not like. I shaved. All
everything
of it for the wedding.
Well, you should just go stash and see how she
did not
feels.
like that.
I guess I will say there are certain times
Stash
where
is a different animal.
there are certain times
goatee
where the wives might
human
like
look.
it.
Don't tempt me.
It's a I am.
Well,
I am right now.
Fine, screw it.
I'm doing it right now.
I will take the goatee off
Right.
when I
There
get
are
home.
certain times where the wives might like
I'll do it. Dude, this grows back in like
Okay.
4 days. Like
It's gonna be
it's
back
gonna
real
be
cool.
fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll take it off.
All right. Woo. All right, we got that. We got a lot of this out of the way.
Let's get to some sports.
Let's get to some sports.
Yeah.
Let's get to
so much.
We have so much we need to get to.
We are not getting to all of it today.
No, we're not. No, we're not. But things that we will get to today.
The Oregon Ducks.
We will get to NFL in the weekend that was in the NFL.
Uh-huh.
The carnage in college football, and now of all people, the SEC are playing woe is me.
Which you weren't here for on Friday
Yeah.
because you were traveling. It's almost the exact scenario that I laid out of what could happen this weekend. And
Okay.
I'm loving it. I'm loving every last bit of it.
Yeah, and it's the most ridiculous thing in the world.
Is that followed up by a ba-da-ba-ba-ba?
Pretty much.
We've got to get to the NFL and the weekend that was. Who gets fired first, Doug Peterson or Matt Eberflus? It
Yes.
feels like
It feels like yes.
the McCaskey family and the Khans are just having a standoff right now, daring the other to fire their coach first.
I felt really good about that Jacksonville plus 14.
Yeah.
Boy.
Yowzers.
Ooh.
And then we've got teams that are getting over the hump and teams that just aren't. And what is the big difference there across the National Football League? And the rookie quarterbacks, man. That Bo Nix guy?
Drake May, yeah, like the rookie quarterbacks are
Pretty good.
this might end up being one of those classes, the anti-2022.
Yeah, there's plenty of time for them to screw this up.
Oh yeah.
There's plenty of time. And we'll get to all of that. But where we got to start this bad boy off, Oregon survives 16-13 in Wisconsin, the number one team in the country. Finally can exhale. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
One receiver to the right. Second down and 3. Lock. Back to throw. Sets. Throws. Batted down. Intercepted! Mateo Uiagalelei with the interception off a tipped ball.
That was a call as heard right here on the Fan Saturday night. Mateo Uiagalelei getting the interception to seal the Ducks' 16-13 victory over the Wisconsin Badgers. That was a heck of a football game. It was ugly. It was kind of a gritty, grimy game.
Kind of. That game was not a fun game to watch.
No, it wasn't. It was
ugly
not.
Football game.
But defensively, both teams played really stinking well, man.
He's going to go get him one of those Milwaukee butter hogs.
Yeah. Ooh, that's another observation. A lot of Wisconsin, a lot of Packers love. No Milwaukee Bucks love anywhere.
Ooh.
You don't see Bucks stuff anywhere. I saw more advertisements for Flannel Fest than I did
To be fair,
Bucks.
flannel, very, very, very.
That was
Flannel
very
Fest
fashionable.
kind of sounds like a kick-ass time.
Yeah, it was Saturday as well. Flannel Fest was on Saturday in Madison, so double booked. A lot of people double booked on Saturday.
Lots of log rolling, I'm sure.
Yeah. Look, as somebody who lived in the region, flannel, the number one pattern.
Yeah. It was a big day for flannel.
It's a warm thing to even though it was very Oregon-y there, I bet you there was a lot of folks in that there crowd with a lot of flannel on.
You forget they call it Oregani.
Yeah.
Oregon. But people were great. All the Big Ten cities have been awesome. You know, they've been it's only been like West Lafayette and Michigan and now Madison.
Looks slightly.
I don't count L.A.
Yeah, I mean that's different. But no, the traditional Big Ten, especially when you're talking about like the smaller cities, like Northwestern and Rutgers are the only ones that are actually like in big cities, right?
Yeah.
So they all have that feel.
Yeah, they do. It was a very cool city, great people out there, but there was a lot of flannel. It was cold. Yeah, I mean
Because
air
wind
temperature
is ripping through you.
The air temperature was 45 degrees, but with the wind chill, like they said it was gusts of up to 29 miles. It was constant wind throughout the entire game. And this is something that we talked about it a lot on the radio broadcast, but from what I've heard and from what I heard in the condensed version, it wasn't discussed a lot on the television broadcast was how much the wind was playing a factor in that game. And that led to the offensive struggle or defensive kind of prowess that we saw in that game. Because if you look at the box score by quarter, you will notice that Oregon scored in only the first and fourth quarter. Wisconsin only scored in the second and third quarter. That is because all of the points were scored in one end zone.
With the wind.
The wind was howling. So if you're watching on TV, the right side of the field is where nobody got in the red zone at. The wind was at your back if you were moving from right to left. And on the opening coin toss, when Oregon got to select which side they kicked from to Wisconsin, I think it was Jamari Caldwell. He goes, wherever we want our back to our locker room because that's where the wind was coming from, was that way. So they wanted to kick with the wind so they could have advantage going into the end zone in the first quarter. So you could get points early because it was the American flag, the Big Ten flags at the top of the stadium, they were pinned the entire game. I mean, it was a constant wind going across the field from right to left if you were watching on TV. And the way the game played out, you saw that the defenses were more aggressive. They were loading the box. If you were moving from left to right and going into the wind, they just said, I dare you to throw the ball downfield. And the Terrence Ferguson, when he tripped on the wide open ball downfield that Dylan Gabriel and him almost connected on, that ball went up into the air and you were watching it going, it just like was kind of like sitting in the air. And so he was trying to adjust to the ball. He trips and falls. The reason why Terrence Ferguson's wide open is because the box was loaded. They were daring you to throw the football down the field in that direction. So offenses that were going up against, and one thing that we knew about both these teams defensively was that they were good. going into this game, right? Wisconsin has one of the best pass defenses in the country heading into this game. But at the same time, the offense is also almost playing one-handed when you're going into the wind because of the fact that you can't really push the ball down the field.
Yeah.
You were very limited in what you could do. And I asked Lanning about it after the game, and he gave the most Lanning response possible is that would be an excuse when we don't make excuses, right?
We both had to play with it. Blah, blah, blah.
Both had to play with it. But when you look at it, one end zone is where all of the points were scored in.
and you look at Wisconsin, they weren't able to put anything together except for in those two occasions. And you look at you could say they were really bad and Oregon was really good on third downs. Oregon's defense was very good and Wisconsin's offense because they couldn't push the ball at all. Their entire offense was Walker.
Yeah,
I mean, and he to be fair, he was very good.
Yeah, he's a good back, man.
I mean, look, it's Wisconsin. They do two things really well.
Yep.
They have very large white men up and down the roster, and they have good running backs. Like that's it doesn't matter who's coaching there. That's it's like Iowa. That you know what you're gonna get year in, year out. And Oregon did just enough, and I think that's the kind of situation. Like there was plenty of miscues by both teams, penalties racked up left, right, and center.
Boy, weird penalties too.
Defensive holding, that's a weird one.
Okay, that is a call that you don't see. Okay, defensive holding by a defensive lineman. I've seen it on the edges, right?
Yeah.
Because what you'll see is like, you'll get an end or an outside backer who's getting double teamed, and then when the guard or the tackle is trying to work up to the next level and get to the linebackers,
get that extended hand.
You take out both of them and you hold the guy who's trying to work up to the next level, so you can get the edge, right? And you see that the interior defensive line. I don't know if I've ever seen an interior defensive lineman called for defensive holding, and that was a weird call. Like I was floored.
I mean, I only had 2 seasons working in the middle of a field in high school football. I never once threw a defensive holding flag.
Yeah,
it wouldn't even cross my mind.
And
to be honest.
It's obviously something that you're like they're
looking
aware
for
of.
Yeah, so
they were aware of.
Wisconsin 100% was campaigning for. That's the only way that flag gets thrown.
There's a new shameless pod plug, a new episode of the program pod. Cole Linehan, my co-host, he was a defensive tackle at Oregon. He goes into great detail of that was his greatest strength, was keeping linemen off of that's what he did, is he opened it up for the linebackers to make plays, right?
Look, I mean, that's most interior defensive tackles, unless you're a guy who's a Aaron Donald type that draws all this attention, and you also are a pass disruptor. Your job is to eat up blocks and free up linebackers. Like that's literally your job, is to get rid of the +1. You're counterbalancing it by saying, no, you have to put 2 on me, and when you do put 2 on me, I'm going to grab the one guy who I know is trying to scoop to the next level. So no.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm not going to allow that to happen. But then we had the what was it? The intentional shift called on both teams there, where there's a difference between disconcerting signals is what you usually see called, which is on that shift, the defense yells something.
Barks something that's similar
to the snap count, right? That wasn't called. What was called was abrupt shift. And both teams got called for it. You see those shifts happen every drive, almost every play in college football. I don't know why they were so high on it in that game. Those were a couple of
I bet you both coaches were England.
Well, especially after Oregon got called for theirs, they were like, when they do it, we better get that same call, and they got that call. They canceled each other out, and we didn't see it again.
I think that was a shot across the bow for guys.
you guys are getting a little too close to it.
Let's everybody knows what you're doing.
Yeah,
stop it.
Yeah, that game was ugly though, and it was grimy. And there's a lot that kind of went into that. And look, if you don't want to just give this complete pass on to Oregon of things that weren't concerning in it, but you take the things that are the reality, right? Oregon was playing 8 straight conference games. No other team in the country went an 8-game stretch without a bye week. They played two teams coming off of bye weeks in Maryland and Wisconsin that both looked ready game, and they were very good in the back ends against Oregon. But there are some things that are of concern. And look, Oregon survived, and winning and surviving is the most important part right there. When your defense can carry you to wins, though, that is the most important thing that you can do.
You can't win everything perfect. You can't win anything pretty. And the thing that matters is you get out with a win.
Yep.
And look, if Wisconsin has, I mean, Braden Locke was not good.
He is not. No, he's a backup quarterback that's forced to start all season long.
If they had a little bit more juice, you know, we might have a different story today. But they didn't, and Oregon did just enough. And that's, look, sometimes you need some breaks to go your way. Go look at literally every national champion ever.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you just need stuff to kind of go your way, and you know Oregon had some stuff go their way.
It's surviving the mess, but
because plenty of teams this weekend didn't.
There's a lot of teams that didn't, and that is over the last handful of weeks, and we can get into that. But I think one call that everybody has their head scratching: the aggressiveness of Dan Lanning. The aggressiveness of Dan Lanning, it did pay off because of the result of that Mateo Uiagalelei pick that we just played right there. But there's people that are saying this is going to bite him at some point. If you dive in a little bit deeper, you can see why Dan Lanning ran a fake field goal when he did. We'll get to that after us with SportsCenter.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by A&E Plumbing, Heating, and Air, serving Portland, Southwest Washington, and the Gorge, online at aneheatingandcooling.com. It's hard to stop a train. First on the Fan, the Oregon Ducks remain a unanimous number one in the AP and coaches polls after a come-from-behind win over Wisconsin on Saturday. Likely to be the number one seed again in tomorrow's college football playoff rankings. A very solid chance they'll be the lone undefeated team after this weekend, with Indiana heading to Ohio State and Army going to Notre Dame. In the NFL, the Cowboys host the Texans for the Battle of the State of Texas to wrap up Week 11 in the NFL. 5:15 kick on ESPN and ABC. The Texans are 7.5-point favorites. Giants head coach Brian Daboll announcing today benching Daniel Jones in favor of Tommy Cutlets. Tommy DeVito. Jones will be the number 3 QB, with Drew Lock serving as the backup. Jones, a $23 million injury guarantee in his deal for next season that becomes fully guaranteed if he is injured and cannot pass a physical in the offseason. And in the association, the Blazers riding a 3-game win streak as they hit the road for a 5-game trip starting Wednesday in Oklahoma City against the Thunder. The trip also includes a back-to-back in Houston against the Rockets, and also visits to the Grizzlies and Pacers. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The Hot Corner, now in its new time. Tuesdays at 7 after Isaac and Soup on Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan.
All right, we got Oregon surviving 16-13 at Wisconsin. Defensive grittiness that you saw from Oregon in that game. We've seen the defense come up with big plays down the stretch, and I saw there was a lot of folks that either took issue with or are bringing up Dan Lanning's aggressiveness is going to bite Oregon at some point if he keeps going and trying to pull a rabbit out of his hat all the time. The fake field goal by Oregon where you try with your punter to pick up the final 4 yards of a drive instead of getting 3 more on the board and making it a 19-13 game. You go for the fake field goal and try to ice the game right
Salt it
there.
away.
Yeah. You needed 4. You ended up getting 3 yards out of it. We talked about where the wind was going. I think that the fact of the matter is that Oregon's final 4 drives of the game on defense, Wisconsin ran 12 plays for 0 yards on their final 4 drives of the football game. If you go back and you look at it, prior to the fake field goal, Wisconsin went 3 plays for 1 yard, 3 plays for -9 yards. Then they went 4 plays for 1 yard. Those were the 3 drives prior to going for that fake field goal.
Mm-hmm.
There was faith that be it the conditions and the wind going into the face and saying, we dare you to try to throw the ball. And you saw that Braden Locke was ineffective in doing that throughout the course of the game. You had that, and then the way that your defense was playing and the fact that you were wearing down Wisconsin as the game went on, we saw that the push started coming back in that fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And I think that played a massive role in it, where you're sitting there and you're going, no, our defense is playing at this level right now. Yeah, we're going to continue to go. And what ended up happening is you get that interception from Mateo Uiagalelei, and you're able to ice the game, and it's over.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with Lanning going for it because he's shown that that's who he is. This isn't anything new. This isn't year 1 of it. This isn't year 2 of it. It's year 3 of it. And it's been same and consistent, and that's who he is. I have no issue about that. The only nits that I'm picking, keep your offense out there.
Yeah, go for it with your offense.
Yeah, because you just
I could see that. Yeah,
just on personnel alone, if you're gonna do it, that's the only I think. Look, you can say that you're trying to catch them by surprise, blah blah blah, but look, when you do that, it depends so much on near perfect execution, and you're putting players in a position who haven't done that regularly. Whereas if it's Dylan Gabriel, if it's Jordan James,
that hole was huge though.
I know, but I'm just saying, you're just.
But you have your punter trying to get 4, and he got 3.
Yeah, and look, if it's and then Jordan James was an absolute dog this weekend.
Mm-hmm. Jordan James was running
angry
with authority in the fourth quarter.
And look,
he had some angry runs there.
Do you go direct handoffs to Jordan James for 4 yards there? Probably not. I mean, you get a little weird with it, but I think if it's me again. I'm not angry about it. I'm not sitting there like, oh my God, I can't believe they went for it. Again, if I'm just picking nits, I would rather put it in Dylan Gabriel or Jordan James' hands. Figure it out from there.
I think there's an element of putting everything on tape too, and having people always have to prepare for all those things, all the special teams wrinkles that they've thrown at teams recently.
So many.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of factors that went into that, and I think. I don't have a problem with going for it. I don't have a problem really with what they did either because of the way the defense was playing at that juncture. Because at that point, your defense on those 3 previous drives had allowed -7 yards.
Doing just fine.
It seems a pretty good little number to
hang
your hat on.
If Wisconsin gets it, you tip your hat to them.
Yeah,
that's what you do. You know what I mean?
Well, in that situation, you go up by 6, right? It changes the way the offense for Wisconsin calls their final drive too, because instead of needing to get into field goal range where you need to get 3, you're then needing to get 7. You're exponentially more aggressive in the way that you approach that final drive. So maybe you wanted them to play a little bit more. Hey, we're not gonna throw Braden Locke into the fire and take a shot downfield. They just needed to move the ball to a point where they could get into field goal range.
Go for it. Yeah,
It's a
becomes-
different way you call
it's
that
more manageable,
situation
for sure.
Yeah, but as it is, I think grinding out a win, that is an important thing. And at this point in the year, we saw it with BYU this past weekend.
Mhm.
We saw it last week. There's only 3 unbeatens left in all of college football. One of them had a bye this past week, and that's Indiana, who has Ohio State on the road this weekend. Oregon improves to 11-0. I think that having a game like that where you go on the road into a hostile environment, you get drug into deep water, and you find a way in that fourth quarter, you have your team, when Jump Around comes on, they get just as into it as everybody else in the stadium does. And you see the cut-ups of when the camera was panning Oregon sideline, Lanning's face when he saw his guys doing Jump Around. They were not leading at that time.
Yeah.
They were trailing, and he was smiling because he's like, yep, we got it.
Time to go.
And he talked about that in the post game about Jump Around and his team and their approach to it.
We had a mindset when we entered that game what that song was going to mean for us, and what our reaction was going to be to it. Kind of like Pavlov's dog, right? When you hear that song, it means it's time to go. Didn't know what it would look like in that moment, but that was what we were looking for from our team.
There you go.
That's how you combat that stuff.
They were. It was no surprise to them.
Yeah.
They were ready for it. They wanted it. You just wish that maybe the end of the first quarter they play Jump Around.
Yeah, get them going a little bit. Yeah.
I will say Jump Around was really cool, but
I don't know how you don't get jacked up by that song.
I mean, the song, they play it super loud in the stadium, but there's no extra crowd noise. Right when you hear it start, everybody gets excited, but then it's just people jumping.
It's not a chant of
no,
where you get
there's a roar
sound.
right when
Yeah.
it starts, and then people just are jumping up and down, and the song is great.
Yeah.
But it's I think it's made for TV because the TV cameras shake.
Yeah.
And because the whole stadium and everybody's jumping, the whole stadium is shaking, and they play it really loud, and it's really cool for TV to kind of see the whole crowd. When I was there, I thought it was going to be they yelled the entire time, and it was you get that bone-chilling roar. It wasn't like that, but it was really cool. I mean, that's an awesome tradition that they have. It's super cool. It's super cool. But Oregon gets out of there, and they get a win. And right now, we've got our Bellagio's very best player of the game. If you were listening to the Ducks post-game scoreboard show, you heard who the very best player of the game is. If you are the first person to correctly text in the Bellagio's very best player of the game at 503-864-6326, you get a large pizza from Bellagio's Pizza. 503.
It's good pizza.
864-6326. It's local in Wilsonville since 1996.
Got it
making
this
their dough
weekend.
fresh daily. Really?
That's what I have sitting over here next to me.
Perfect.
Some leftover Bellagio's.
Text us 503-864-6326, the name of the Bellagio's very best player of the game. All right, let's get to the carnage in college football that happened, though, because it's hard to win every game. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
Hello, sports.
Not a lot of surprises around the world of college football, but it's hard to win every single game. And BYU found that out the hard way. Hosting a 3-6 Kansas Jayhawks, the 6th-ranked Cougs went down.
The Primetime Bowl.
The what?
Primetime Bowl.
What do you mean?
The Isaac and Suk Bowl.
Yeah, yeah. I thought you were. I was like, Prime.
I know.
Coach
Danny
Prime?
Danny threw me off with that on Friday too, and I did the same thing.
I called it the Primetime Bowl.
Yeah, it's the Isaac and Suk Bowl. Yeah, you got Rock Chalk gets their 4th win of the year in that one.
We saw the landmines that were laid out this weekend, and
Called it.
most teams hit them. Texas, Arkansas was one that we spent some time talking about on Friday. Arizona State was lurking as well. You just got Utah, Colorado was certainly dicey for a stretch.
Arizona State, folks, they're
good.
Could go to the Big 12 championship game. They pick off Kansas State with that win, which hands Kansas State their 3rd loss in conference play. They get BYU coming up this weekend, where if they beat BYU, that then hands BYU their 2nd loss in conference play, and they have a head-to-head win over BYU. They did not play Iowa State, so I don't know how the tiebreakers will sort out, but you have a very real chance that you could see Colorado, Arizona State in the Big 12 championship game.
Just
by the way,
thought.
Colorado, they play Kansas this week on the road, and the Jayhawks are finally seeming like the team that we thought they could be at the very beginning of this year. Iowa State has at the end of the year, their season, a meeting with Kansas State on Thanksgiving weekend that could be a loss for them. Arizona State is playing really well, and Kenny Dillingham, his approach, I love the way that he is handling it, because he was asked about whether or not they were ahead of schedule or not, and this was his response.
Yeah. I would be lying if I said no, right? I mean, we were a 3-win team twice. We were under NCAA sanctions. Most head coaches, to keep on it, be brutally honest, you get fired if you take a job under sanctions. You don't survive. You're hired to be fired. That's the nature of the beast. And right now we're sitting here at 8-2 and couldn't be prouder.
What a great response. Like,
there's no mixed messaging. There's no like coach speak. He's speaking truth.
They got their first upset in the fans stormed the field, and he's doing that interview with ESPN. He's like, I was one of these guys. And then he just goes and just starts jumping with the crowd and with the students. Like, he's a guy that cares about Arizona State. He went there. He's from there. And you could tell it means a lot to him, the success they're having. And he's not shying from, no, we are ahead
Arizona
of schedule.
State should not be stupid about this. And if they have a couple of dicey years,
you got to keep him.
As they build, like this is the coach that you keep for a long time, guys.
Yep.
It just is.
And they're going to have a puncher's chance, like, to not just go to the Big 12 championship game, but I don't know who, like, Colorado might be the best team in the Big 12.
Yeah.
I mean, they might be. I don't know. But
I hate that, by the way.
I don't.
I hate watch Deion.
Deion, the thing that always and I've always said this about Deion, I want a disruptor, and I was pulling for a guy who does it differently to have success, because I think that's ultimately it's good for a sport. Where Deion lost me was Deion would say the wrong thing at the wrong time, like continually.
Yes.
But over the last handful of weeks, Deion hasn't.
Have you heard him?
No.
That's my point.
It is.
He's just out there doing the damn thing.
And when you watch their team, you watch Shedeur, you watch Travis Hunter, and you're like, these guys are really damn good.
Yeah.
And you can appreciate what they are doing on the field without their coach stepping in it, throwing his guys under the bus, and propping up his son in taking down, whether it's the offensive line or the defense
or his offensive coordinator.
Yeah, like he is. There has been some awareness from Deion, and at that point, I'm like, yeah, dude, Colorado is really fun to watch, and that's what I've always said is I want him to be successful. I want him to be a disruptor and do it differently, but goodness gracious, he made it very hard to stay on that side for the longest time. And he would always say, like, oh, nobody believes and it's us against everybody. It's like, dude, the people that want to believe, you're pushing them away. And that made it the hard part to try and root for them. But I find Colorado much more likable now, and they're making a run for it. And if we got Arizona State, Colorado in a Big 12 title game, watch out, baby, because they haven't played this year. In the regular season, they didn't have a regular season matchup, and they won't in the final 2 games. I would love to see Arizona State and Colorado with the shot to go to the college football playoff. And what that could mean, though, does the Big 12 have a first-round bye?
No.
The door is open. The door is open for Boise State.
Yeah.
The door is open.
Wide open.
Now, they messed around this past week a little too long.
I may disagree with you guys on Boise State. We'll get to that next. Danny Dusty on the Fan.
If you're a man facing divorce,
Portland, 1080, The Fan.
I have a terrible mustache. I look like a conquistador.
An Odyssey Sports Station. Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust here with your Sports Center update. First on The Fan, the Oregon Ducks remain a unanimous number 1 in the AP and coaches polls after a come-from-behind win over Wisconsin on Saturday. Likely to be the number 1 seed again in tomorrow's college football playoff rankings. A very solid chance. They'll be the lone undefeated team after this weekend. They've got a bye, but Indiana heading to Ohio State and Army going to Notre Dame. In the National Football League, Giants head coach Brian Daboll announced today they're benching Daniel Jones in favor of Tommy Cutlets, Tommy DeVito. Jones will be the number 3 quarterback. Drew Lock serving as the backup. Jones has a $23 million injury guarantee in his deal for next season. It becomes fully guaranteed if he's injured and cannot pass a physical in the offseason. The Cowboys host the Texans for the Battle of the State of Texas. That wraps up Week 11 tonight in the NFL. 5:15 kick on ESPN and ABC. The Texans are 7.5-point favorites, and in the association, the Blazers riding a 3-game win streak. They hit the road for a 5-game trip starting Wednesday in Oklahoma City against the Thunder. The trip also includes a back-to-back in Houston against the Rockets, and also visits to the Grizzlies and Pacers. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The Fan Merch Locker has a new long sleeve tee and hoodies in your favorite college colors. Get yours now at 1080thefan.com. Danny Meringue.
And then I went to this movie theater. Then I made a noise like this.
Dusty Hera.
Then this was horrible. All the people started getting sick and throwing up all over each other.
I'm beginning to like this kid much.
This is Danny and Dusty on the Odyssey app and Portland's sports leader, 1080. The Fan.
Hour number 2, Danny and Dusty with you on this Monday afternoon. Thanks for being a part of our day, letting us be a part of yours, whether it's on 1080 AM, 99.5 HD2, the Odyssey app, twitch.tv/1080am The Fan, or youtube.com/1080am The Fan. Party on, party people. Let's rally. The world of college football is awaiting what Tuesday looks like in the college football playoff rankings. We talked about a little bit of that carnage in the top 25 with the scoreboard this past week as BYU suffers their first loss. And now you look at the Big Ten. Are they going to be on the outside looking in when it comes to a first round bye in the college football playoff? Remember, it is the 4 highest ranked conference champions that will get a bye. Looking at the AP top 10, which has mirrored, or the top 12, which has mirrored largely what the college football playoff top 12 has looked like, has Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, Penn State, Indiana, Notre Dame, Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, Tennessee as your top 10 with Miami at 11 and Boise State at 12. The highest ranked Big 12 school is BYU, sitting there at 14th, and then Colorado at 16th. If you look at it, the top 5, 4 of them are from the Big Ten. You have got Texas, Bama, Georgia, Ole Miss, and Tennessee, all from the SEC. Notre Dame, remember, cannot get a first-round bye because they will not be a conference champion.
And look, I think we're all hoping for USC to beat Notre Dame just so we don't have to deal with them.
I don't, because of the chaos theory. Like the chaos theory of if Notre Dame is a top 4 ranked team, but they end up being the 5 seed. I love that I'm an agent of chaos. I would love to see the chaos happen in this top 25.
And let's face it, many college football fans would love to see both USC and Notre Dame lose that game.
Look, I'm willing to sacrifice that. If they could both lose, it'd be great.
Yeah.
But if you get Notre Dame out, unless Boise State steps on a landmine, they then have a chance to where you can be like, they could find a way in there.
Let's take a look at this.
But beyond that, it allows for one more to get in there, and it gets really squirrely.
This is where everybody is saying that Boise State, with BYU's loss, Boise State now has that open road to a top 4 seed in a bye in the first round. Heather Dinich tweeted this out today. According to the All-State Playoff Predictor, Boise State now has a 61% chance to earn a top 4 seed in a first-round bye. The best of any school. We'll see if the committee agrees. That is as of right now, okay? Boise State's remaining games. At Wyoming, which is a 2-8 Wyoming program.
That's a win.
Okay.
According to, what is it, Francesa?
That's a win. That's a loss. That's a win. And then they have Oregon State on that Thanksgiving weekend to finish the year. The Beavs are currently riding a 5-game losing streak into a meeting with Washington State. They just got beat 28-0 to Air Force. And we can call it that is one of the most disappointing losses that Oregon State has had in quite some time, with just the way that it played out and the fact that the offense has looked lethargic and anemic, and Air Force is a 2-win team heading into that one. That was a demoralizing one.
Look, guys, I love my Falcons, but they're not good this year, and to lose like that to that team, boy, that's
tough.
That's tough.
That's tough.
That's tough.
Okay. So those are Boise State's 2 remaining games. Okay. In a conference, they're not going to get any bump from winning those games, right? in a conference championship game, right now, they would be playing Colorado State, which is unbeaten in conference play, but lost 52-0 to Texas, 28-9 to Colorado. And that Oregon State team we just talked about, they lost to them 39-31. If you play Colorado State, an unranked team, will Boise State get a bump?
No.
Okay. If they play UNLV, which they already beat one time this year, but UNLV in the AP poll is sitting at 23rd. If they do, if Colorado State stumbles in their final 2 games against Utah State or Fresno State,
which could happen,
but you get UNLV, will you get a bump from beating UNLV?
Mild.
Okay. Now, let's go to the Big 12. Say BYU plays Colorado. Right now, that is the number 14 team playing the number 16 team in the AP Top 25. Which win will get a team more credit? Boise State over Colorado State or UNLV, or Colorado beating BYU, or vice versa?
Yeah,
there's no thinking about it.
It's pretty simple.
It's going to be the Power 4 conference team, because the committee will say that is a top 15 win, right? Because it will be if both Colorado and BYU continue to win out. If Texas beats Texas A&M, Texas A&M takes a tumble, and that's a top 15 win. Right now it's 14 versus 16. There inherently, because of the way the schedule is going to play out, there will be teams that drop if those 2 teams win. That movement will be there. That's why I love this story. I would love to see Boise State get that first round bye.
Look, and
I think the committee is just going to set it up to be
give them the home game.
Give them the home game. They will get a home game.
That's been my shtick with this the entire time. If you're not going to put them there, do not stick them with a 9 through 12 seed.
But that'll be really tough, because all right, let's seed this thing out then. You're going to say which of these teams goes on the road if they don't win their conference? Ohio State?
I'm already going to say it. Penn State.
Notre Dame. I don't think they have the balls to send all of the SEC teams on the road.
Yeah.
No, that is not going to happen. No. There will be an SEC team that gets a home game, right? We know that. Yeah. So an SEC team will get a home game. A Big Ten team will get a home game. Notre Dame will get a home game.
That's why I want USC to knock them off, because if you take Notre Dame out of this, it's very easy to give Boise State the home game.
And
if you lose to Northern Illinois, man, look, and their best win on the season over LSU is looking suspiciously fraudulent.
Yeah, but at the same time, you take care of the schedule that's in front of you.
I mean, again, the same way as Boise State.
Yeah,
that's my point. Is like you want to talk about, who does Boise State
compare
beat?
losses?
It's like, let's compare losses. Theirs is 34-37 on the road at Autzen in the closing seconds of a game. Yours is getting dog walked by Northern Illinois.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was a field goal, wasn't it?
I mean, they scored 10 points.
I mean, people rest on. Hey, Maction, dude. The MAC is such a tough conference that Northern Illinois team, it can't even win in the MAC. That's how good the MAC is. You guys need to be watching on Tuesdays and Wednesday nights.
Yeah, when you're struggling to score against Northern Illinois, look, had that been a shootout game where you're just like, for whatever reason, the Northern Illinois is touched by the hand of God and they're just scoring on every drive, fine.
Yeah.
But your inability to score against that team is just... you just throw your hands up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they've scored a lot since, though. I mean, they put up a 50-burger.
Again, you're not who you are in the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
All those things.
Get better, yeah.
But, yeah, I want to see Notre Dame not there.
I want a Smurf turf game in a playoff.
When's the last time we had who has traveled to Boise State?
Oregon.
But, outside of that matchup, what power has gone there?
Most recently, which teams have gone to Boise State? I don't know. We're going to have to Washington did a couple years ago.
Again, regionally, that's it. But look.
I want to say, did Oklahoma State bail on a game against them there? I think that
somebody did.
Yeah, I think somebody did. Oklahoma State went there September 18th, 2021.
Okay, so during COVID.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it was after the COVID year. Let's see here. Then we'll go to 2019. No, people don't go there.
That's what I'm saying.
Force them to go there. Hey,
Send
SEC.
an SEC team to Boise in late December.
I will tell you, that would be hilarious.
Look,
because in all honesty, the SEC team will win.
probably
But-
send Bama to Boise State in late December.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Yeah. Cross the Mason-Dixon line.
Yeah. And not in a dome.
Or they went to Wisconsin this year. They went to Wisconsin.
Yeah, when?
September, and they broke Tyler Van Dyke.
Yeah, and it was like 80 degrees.
Yeah. All right. Well, that'd be fun.
I just want to see a team that does not go into a place like this ever. Because look, the Big Ten, they're used to the weather. Send Miami up there. Like, get weird. Send a Sun Belt team to Boise in late December.
Yeah.
On the Smurf turf, on a playoff on the line.
Yep.
I don't think you can find many. Can you think of many better places for like that to happen? The like a conflict like that coming together, or a place that traditionally does not get that at a more unique venue.
And they have enough credibility that they've built up.
Yep.
I really do think though that game control seems to be a big thing with this playoff committee, and they don't have it.
No,
they're not. I mean, late in this year, and winning is hard. Like
is.
winning is, it's really hard to do, and they're doing it. And they ran away from San Jose State late, but
that's because they got Genty going because their passing game just can't get going.
And against an SEC team, I think the committee's just gonna be like, I don't see it, guys.
Again,
they're going to send them on the road, and
give them the opportunity because they've never been given it. And every time that they even get close at sniffing it, what do?
Oh, they lose to Nevada on a field goal at the end. Colin Kaepernick.
So dumb.
Kept him out of the BCS championship. All right. There's a lot of NFL that we need to get to, and we are going to hit the NFL very hard in hour number 2. But are we now panicking about how good this team is playing? Next on The Fan.
from the outer limits and triple to get the Blazers to lead with 1:02 remaining. Are you kidding me?
Kevin Calabro on the call for Blazers broadcasting as the Portland Trail Blazers make it a trio. This is what we call a winning streak, folks. 3 straight wins for the hometown team. Are we now starting to worry about the tank? About the tank?
Yeah, they're 6-8, which it means they're a game away from 500, and the panic is setting in. And look, enjoy this. Enjoy it because it's fun.
I can't.
Enjoy it because it's fun. Shaden Sharp's doing well. Donovan Clingan had his game on Wednesday night.
I do like Shaden Sharp doing well. That's great.
Tumani continues to be an absolute monster. He had Trae Young in hell last night. You could Trae had ended up having a decent box score night, 8 of 16 from the field, and as a creator, he was finished like 26 and 9 if I remember right. But he also had 5 or 6 turnovers. Let me see, I've got it right here. He finished with 29 and 8 with 6 turnovers. He was a -4 on the night, which kind of tells you he was that good and efficient, but he was that disruptive with the ball or that loose with the ball. I think all 6 turnovers, if I'm not mistaken, were as a direct result of Tumani Camara.
Tumani Camara is my spirit animal. He is the guy that when we watch basketball, I tell my son that's how you want to play.
He's going to get all defense votes.
I love that.
Like that's
him.
That's people from other teams telling me that.
He should.
He's that good of a defender.
He's great.
He is a no doubt dyed in the wool premier 3-and-D guy.
I like him.
He's doing things. The Hawks had 25 turnovers last night. 25 turnovers. The Blazers have now had 3 straight games generating 10 or more steals. Remember we talked about this, like the identity they were starting to forge with being disruptive? They are very, 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 very good at being disruptive. If you take a look at kind of what they are and how they are built, their offense is one of the worst offenses in the league, both by effective field goal percentage and a points per 100 possession basis, right?
But this is kind of the way you would want this season to play out, is that your defense can keep you in games. We know they didn't have a scoring punch.
No.
Shooting is still the problem. Even with Shaden Sharp playing the way that he is, shooting is still going to be the issue for this team.
And what's happened is they have hit shots enough.
That third quarter, buddy.
Yep. It flipped on its head. After having some struggles in the third quarter, that third quarter last night, they went nuts. Shaden had 13 points and all 5 of his assists in the third quarter.
Is Chauncey Billups talking the team publicly going to be what prevents the Blazers from getting Cooper Flag?
I don't think so, because
it's working though, that was the big thing we talked about at the time. This could go one of 2 ways. Yep. He is still getting it from that team, and they are buying in. And that is Chauncey Billups the guy of the future? I don't know, but you're not going to get much better than what he's got right now this year because the guys are still playing for him.
He's pushing the right buttons. And this is what I've tried to tell people so much for the last 2 years is, look, man, when you've got a young team, you're going to step on some landmines and it's going to be bad. And sometimes you're going to have young teams that start games slow or come out of the half slow. Look, I've had the players tell me, and the reason why I have not necessarily backed Chauncey, but why I haven't been like, fire him, is very simple. The players are telling me, look, he's preparing us. Him and the staff are preparing us. Like, we know what we need to do. Just sometimes we're dumb about it.
Yep. And
like
that's young teams will do that.
Yeah,
man.
and it's like sometimes we don't stick to the game plan. Like, they've matchup hunted. Like they played a little, against Tuesday night against the Timberwolves. They played Find Mike Conley. That's what the offensive
Find the old guy.
Like, he's 37, 38 years old, and he's 6 foot tall. We're big as hell. Like, we don't care if it's Tumani Camara. Like, we're just going to find whoever Mike's on. We know Father Time has just reached up and snatched
It's
him.
like the Jake Paul Tyson fight. That's elder abuse.
It's picking on the old guy. But if you're going to put him out there, guess what we're going to do? And that's kind of what they've done. They played the same thing yesterday. Right. Stay away from Dyson Daniels. Find Trae Young.
For the people that are worried about, hey, they're winning too many games, I will say this right now. They're going on the road, shooting variance on the road for a team that's not good shooting, period. You go on the road, that gets amplified. Also, I will revert everybody back to last season, which is the last time the Portland Trailblazers had a 3-game winning streak, was November 3rd of 2023.
So almost the exact same time.
They won 3 games in a row where they beat Toronto, Detroit, and Memphis.
Is that road trip?
And
those were all like coin toss games.
Memphis was when they got back home from it. And then they went off and they lost 2, 4, 6, 8 games in a row after that. Okay. And I remember we had that conversation like, they're 500 because at that point, the 3 wins got them back to 500. And it was like, they're 500 right now. Panic. It's okay. I like the fact that we're unlike even like that last year, we're seeing a team that is actually competitive and they're looking competent on the defensive end of the floor.
And the thing is,
it's not
for everybody that's
brain numbing.
No. And the thing is, everyone's freaking out about. Just go by the math. Last night's or yesterday afternoon, whatever you want to call it, that game was a coin toss game. Came down to 5 points, which is what most games in the NBA come down to. If Shaedon Sharpe doesn't hit a 30-footer at the buzzer, the Hawks probably win that game.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, you can literally say that. If the Hawks don't have 25 turnovers.
Wait, we're convincing people how they should have lost games
No,
now? It's just how weird it is that.
But no, but that's my point. Like, if you take a look at these games, you had the Timberwolves game on Wednesday, which, they played well, but the Timberwolves also shot 7 of 42 from 3.
Dang.
That's not going to happen. Like, if you're looking over things over 82 games, which this fan base, it just refuses to do. It's in the moment. Like, last Sunday, a week ago, fire Chauncey, he's the worst thing ever. Oh my God. And now it's the Blazers are great. It's the young guys. And you know what nobody is saying? Nobody's saying it's Chauncey's good.
Yeah.
Like, if he's the reason that they're so bad, then he's the reason that they're so good. And my point is, it's neither. It's neither.
You're somewhere in the middle.
You're somewhere in the middle because that's what happens with a young team. You get some shooting variance. Look, Donovan Clingan was a man possessed on Wednesday night against the Timberwolves. Couldn't play him on Sunday afternoon. Took him off the floor because they were at a minus 18 with him on the floor. I think is what it ended up being. I'm sorry, my mistake. It was a minus 20.
Is that bad?
Yeah.
Oh.
Look, Atlanta went small, and it was like, we can't do this because Trae Young knows how to manipulate a pick and roll probably better than damn near anyone as a creator in the league. He's so good at that, and Donovan's just not ready to be dragged out to the three-point line over and over again. And here's the thing. On most nights, that's going to result in a loss.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to happen here. They're going to play Oklahoma City on Tuesday, then I get a back-to-back in Houston with the NBA Cup games. You've got Phoenix on this trip. They're probably going to get the living crap kicked out of them, in all reality.
All right, Danny just guaranteed they win this road trip.
But here's the thing. You have
By the way, no, I think you misspoke. It's not Phoenix on this trip. They got Oklahoma City, Houston twice, Memphis, and Indiana.
Sorry. It's Memphis. My mistake.
Yeah. It's all good. Hey, we talk for a living. Sometimes you say something wrong. It happens.
Yeah. But, I mean, you look at where they're at with this, and you just go, okay, 6-8 sounds so much better than 4-10. And in reality, 2 games very easily could have gone the other way.
I tell you what, you know what sounds better than 6-8?
You're right.
Do you know what sounds better than 6-8? Cooper Flag.
Yeah. Again, it's going to be fine. If you take a look at where they're standing right now, and this is why you have to look at 82 games. You look at where they are. You go by the actual math, the point differential, the net rating, all the predictive stuff, like the Pythagorean math that has been very, very, very good at predicting where teams finish. As of right now, they're in a 3-way tie for 5th worst record in the NBA. The only teams that are worse are Washington, Utah, Philly, and New Orleans. In New Orleans and Philly, they're there because of injuries.
And I think they have looks like the 7th worst point differential in the league.
Yeah, and they're right there. Look, as I'm saying, Chicago's minus 7.3, Toronto's minus 7.4, and Portland is minus 7. When you that kind of point difference, look,
I'd like to see that climb down into the bottom.
No, you don't, because you can't watch 70 games of this. You can't. Yeah. Look, Utah fans, Will Hardy is losing his mind in Utah right now. He's a great coach. He does not like losing, and they are in hell right now. And like the Utah fans are just sitting there. They're clawing at the walls because Utah is very similar to Portland in that when has Utah been very bad? It's not very often.
No.
It's very similar to Portland in that they are usually a very successful team.
All right. Well, hey, these metrics, man.
Those scientists better check their hypotenuses, dude.
Because Blazers are playing well, dude.
Again, over 82 games. Let's see how this looks. Yes. I just don't expect the shooting to hold.
All right. Well, right now,
I don't.
The Portland Trailblazers are 6-8.
It's computers.
Which only puts them with the third worst record in the Western Conference right now.
Yeah. So they're what, 12th in the Western Conference?
Dude, right now, they'd be the 7th seed in the East.
So here's the thing about that. For everybody who keeps saying like that's going to happen, the East has to play each other.
Yeah,
so,
at some point
so
they're
gonna get some wins.
All
like
right.
that's what's gonna happen. And Portland's just gonna sit here and continue to play the West, and it's going to just chew them up.
Currently, Blazers have the 11th worst record in the NBA. Quick reminder: the team that got the #1 pick this year,
Atlanta,
had the 9th worst record in the NBA,
and they were 10th in the lottery because they got bumped back because a team jumped up.
All right. Okay. Well, there we go. We're Blazer balling. Look. They're going to be okay. Remember with the smoothing of the lottery too.
Mm-hmm.
Being the absolute worst is not what it was before.
No, it's not what it was pre smoothing, as it were.
Yeah.
You still want to be there, but it's just,
dude, my brain's super smooth,
Yeah.
bro. I got the smoothest of the brains.
wrinkle free, bro.
Wrinkle free, bro.
I got a wrinkle free moment.
Uh-oh.
Coming up on our Worst Day on the Web. I tweeted out this. I think it was Friday, maybe Saturday, but we definitely didn't discuss it on the show, so it's probably this weekend. But we collectively are getting old.
The royal we.
Yes, the royal we. But are we so old that the world has changed this much? We'll get to that and more. Coming up on our Worst Day on the Web. But first, here's the Big Kahuna with Sports Center Update.
You mind if I have some of your tasty beverage to wash this down?
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust here with your Sports Center update. First on The Fan, the Oregon Ducks remain a unanimous #1 in the AP and coaches polls after a come-from-behind win over Wisconsin on Saturday. Likely to be the #1 seed again in tomorrow's college football playoff rankings. A very solid chance they'll be the lone undefeated team after this weekend. They've got a bye, but Indiana heading to Ohio State and Army going to Notre Dame. In the NFL, the Cowboys host the Texans for the Battle of the State of Texas. That wraps up Week 11 in the NFL. 5:15 kick on ESPN and ABC. The Texans are 7.5-point favorites. Giants head coach Brian Daboll announcing today they're benching Daniel Jones in favor of Tommy DeVito. Jones will be the #3 QB with Drew Lock serving as the backup. Jones has a $23 million injury guarantee in his deal for next season that becomes fully guaranteed if he is injured and cannot pass a physical in the offseason. And in the association, the Blazers riding a 3-game win streak. They hit the road for a 5-game trip starting Wednesday in Oklahoma City against the Thunder. The trip also includes a back-to-back in Houston against the Rockets and visits to the Grizzlies and Pacers. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Got a smart speaker? It's The Fan in your office and every room of your home. Tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan. Odyssey and 1080 The Fan.
Man, that sucks!
All right. This is the Get Off My Lawn segment. It's a little ridiculous. Look, I've got some news and notes here for Worst Day on some feral and untrained emus. Drug dealers going back to get their drugs that they left on a train and asking people to help them find them. But the one that has got me twisted up, and I mentioned this, I think it was on Saturday. There's a not dash cam, but chest cam footage of police in Georgia who arrested a mom for letting their kid walk less than a mile to the store down the street in rural Georgia.
How old?
10.
No. Really?
10.
All right. We talking no shoulder on the road, rural Georgia though. No shoulder. That's a little dicey. I could see it, but 10 is.
Look, I'm not gonna.
I mean, my kids walk home from school, and we're less than a mile from the school. You know, if it's less than a mile, like I wouldn't feel comfortable with anything over. But we're in a neighborhood, and we're not.
But this is like again
on their sidewalks the entire way.
Like we're not talking about a city. We're
they
talking
walk with other kids.
Fannin County, Georgia.
Okay.
Middle of the day. Okay, like this is this.
A 10-year.
Look, I know the world is different, but I don't think the world's that different.
No,
I think we're just looking.
grade?
Yeah, fifth
we're just
grade.
more aware of how bad some people are out there.
Yeah.
The world, like people were bad back then.
There were bad people then.
And look, man, I used to ride my bike at 7 years old by myself from my house in Beaver. Like if you're familiar, I used to live behind Vos Elementary School. Okay.
That's right. The round school for square kids.
Yes, a little smack dab in the middle of the neighborhood. From kindergarten on,
It has since
I
been rebuilt.
walked from school home back and forth to school every day. It was just under a mile
Yeah.
every day. I used to ride my bike out of my neighborhood, out onto Hall, down the street to Albertsons or to 7-Eleven to go get snacks.
I know that corner.
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
I know that corner.
Okay? You go, like, again, less than a mile at 6 and 7 years old. I used to ride my bike from there to 12th Street in Beaverton, past Allen on my bike to my friend's house at 8 and 9 years old, and that's like 2 miles.
Here's the thing. I don't like it. It makes me feel uncomfortable as a parent of a 12-year-old and an 8-year-old. But arrestable? I don't think so.
It's not arrestable. Man. And this is a decent one. 10 is no-go age for a mile. Mine's 13, and he's fine now. But 10, he was an idiot. This is my long-standing theory of boys are wild cards. What are we talking here with my daughter is far more responsible.
And I'll tell you what, I'm glad I'm a girl dad. I got 2 girls.
Than my son is.
Yeah.
But I think if it's less than a mile, it is different now because of the climate is a lot different than when we were growing up. Like when we were growing up, it was the wild, wild west. Like,
we rode our bikes. We rode our bikes all over town.
Everywhere.
Yes.
Like I was 12 and me and my idiot friends, we figured out a way to ride our bikes on back roads from Hillsborough to downtown Portland.
Mm-hmm.
Like that.
That's basically how I come to work now.
It was almost the same way. But like now kids just don't do that. And there were bad people then. There are bad people now.
Yes.
But people are more brazen now than ever.
What was the movie?
I understand. I don't think you should arrest a parent for this, though.
No.
I mean, we probably don't know the backstory of how many instances that maybe this has happened. Was this like the very first time? Or is this a parent that, Child Protective Services had been to their house several times, and then you're like, all right, lady, your kids can't go and get your White Claws at the store anymore. Yeah. No.
Quit sending your kids to the store for Marlboro Lights.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which they can't do anymore, but back in the day they did.
So she was arrested and charged with reckless conduct.
Reckless conduct.
Yeah, which is like a step below kind of child endangerment. And it's just like, what the hell are we doing here? And then they came back to her and said they were willing to drop the charges basically if she admitted fault. And she basically told them all to go to hell. And she's right.
Yeah.
She's right.
Yeah.
You're not-
I've got a lot of questions,
You're not
though.
you're not endangering your child. He went to a Dollar General.
Okay.
It was
less than a mile.
less than a
away.
mile.
Yeah.
Broad daylight. Not sun going down. This is literal middle of the day.
Yeah, but I got like my questions are like 10-year-old. Are we talking like there's a sidewalk? That's a big one because if you're on a rural road and it's like 55, a 10-year-old should not be walking on that road, right?
Correct.
And that's the question that I have is like, what was the area here? Like on the surface, this sounds like it's absurd, but without knowing a lot of the context to it, like she could be wildly endangering her kid if she's like, go ahead, walk down the road. That's a 55, and there's a big turn in this, less than a mile that we have
This
here.
sounds like it's rural Georgia. They don't. Only thing they say is where they found the kid. It was on a railroad avenue, which doesn't sound like any kind of highway. I would imagine that's just kind of like the road alongside the railroad.
Now we have
rural Georgia.
See, and I feel like when we hear
Railroad Avenue. What's
when
the
we
name of the
hear
city?
like rural Georgia, what I do think of is a 2-lane road, probably not any sidewalks.
Yeah.
Yes, it is close. It's within a mile, but is it really safe?
I'm pretty sure that, like, from the information that we're gathering from this, we could find the exact Dollar General in whatever city this is near a railroad. Like, we can go a mile either way.
It's a side road. It's 100% a side road.
Well,
and there's the Dollar General. Yeah. So
what's the name of the city?
Mineral Bluff.
Mineral Bluff.
No,
Mineral
hold on,
Bluff.
hold on.
Wow. Okay.
I think it's the nearest. Hold on.
Is that right next to Vitamin Mountain?
Now we're getting. Now we're getting into a lot of it. Like now we're getting into the nitty gritty of what this.
Because I think to make a proper
Mineral Bluff Highway is the closest highway.
I think to make a proper determination on this, we need a little bit more info.
Yeah.
But Railroad Avenue is like a side street. You can literally see it, and there's the Dollar General. Like
Dollar General.
That's where he walked down to. This is not a road that's a problem.
Yeah, the Mineral Bluff Highway is right next to the Dollar General, though.
But
I mean,
here, Dusty.
I know. I'm looking at it.
Like there's the street side view. It's a residential.
I feel like this may be a little overreaching here. Unless he was going down that old Mineral Bluff Highway.
I watched the body cam footage of the cop. It's the female officer is just a peach of a human being.
Yeah.
And you're just searching for
There are no sidewalks.
I guess I'll put it this way. I remember, for some reason, I don't know why this sticks out in my head, and I think we talked about this within the last few weeks, but I remember it was I think it was on, I don't remember if it was Sesame Street or one of those OPB shows and stuff, a sketch that you would see every now and then, a cartoon of the mom. I believe they were in New York City, sending her young child, like younger than 10, probably 6 or 7, down to the store by herself to pick up a loaf of bread, a quart of milk, and a stick of butter. And that's what that kid kept saying in her head. Loaf of bread, quart of milk, stick of butter. And she just sent her out on her own. And I always wondered, like, that doesn't... I don't think I would do that.
Yeah. I don't know.
I know how much...
This is tough.
I know how much the world is different today. And the text line keeps telling me I don't have kids.
Again, arrestable, different story.
Yeah, arrestable, no.
Would I do it? No.
No.
Arrestable, different story.
And I think we don't know how much a wild card this mom is in what's been going on in the background. Doesn't look like the greatest area.
I mean, it looks like
from
just,
Google Maps.
Yeah, it looks like just rural Georgia, which is what you expect. Also, mom's a hot. If that doesn't.
Oh, she is?
Yeah, mom's
well,
hot.
Is she sending the kid out so she can have some alone time with the current
no,
boyfriend?
she
who's the cop's husband?
She was at a.
Whoa! Connected all the dots.
There we go. She was at an appointment with another kid.
Oh.
And the kid was at home.
Yeah, I don't like the arresting of it.
No, and if it's like you're talking about endangering the child and making things bad and this, that, and the other, and then you want to sit there and you want to go and you watch the body cam footage and instead of
she's at an
this being a
appointment
problem
with another kid and the 10-year-old is at home by herself.
Yeah. At 10 you can be at home alone by yourself.
I mean, I guess technically I don't dig on that either.
Good Lord, we have some pretty wild disagreements right now on how old you can be.
My kid, my oldest kid, she's in 7th grade. She's 12.
Wow.
She's almost 13, and
Home Alone at 6.
And yeah, well, what I'm saying is, yeah, my kid, she's 12, almost 13, 7th grade, and I'm about now at the point where, like, Yes, there have been times lately where we will leave her at home.
Here's
minutes.
Georgia law. Here, children 8 and under should not be left home alone. 9 to 12 can be left at home alone for brief periods of time, less than 2 hours. 13 and older can be left alone for up to 12 hours. There you go.
2 hours to 12 hours is a wild shift.
Well, and that's the state law, which is basically, admittedly, a baseline.
Yeah,
that's the low bar.
Yeah. So,
but
but even in all this, it doesn't seem like it is arrestable.
Not only that, it's really good for the development of that child, arresting their mother in front of the kid and taking the mom to jail and leaving the kid at home alone again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Congratulations. Wonderful job.
Yeah.
But it was just one of those things what is happening here? What is happening? Again, I know we're not in the world anymore. We're come home when the lights go off. I know that's not how things are now.
Mm-hmm.
But my God, we're that far away is just, that's insane.
Yeah. I mean, it is. It changes when you have kids. But
we're also talking about a town that's probably 12 people.
Yeah, it's not a big town.
This isn't like walking down the streets of downtown Portland and you're like, oh, I'm going to let my 10-year-old walk down the needle-infested roads.
Times have always been changing, though, because I remember, my stepdad used to tell us when he was in kindergarten, he used to take, 3 bus transfers to get to the zoo. He and his buddy in kindergarten would take 3 different buses to get to the San Francisco Zoo. Yeah, they weren't doing that with us.
No.
And it is evolving and it is changing, but I don't know. I don't like arresting the mom.
No.
I don't. I think that's
very weird.
That's not in play without knowing everything that's going on here.
Yeah, again, like I said, I wouldn't let the kid go do that on not my decision, but not arrestable, I don't think.
Yeah. All right.
It's all
the judge has spoken. We don't want the hot mom arrested.
We'll get your take. Hot mom?
I mean, not bad for a mugshot.
I mean, for a mugshot,
pretty good.
Yeah, I thought. And I was like, good for her. So yeah, that's it. That's
for a mugshot.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah. I mean, I don't know. Most of them are not great.
So there you go. That's our worst day on the web.
Does that one make the website?
Georgia Police ovaries.
Yeah, she might. She might make the website.
All right, coming up next, there's some business in the world of basketball and football that is going to change where and how you might see some games and some programs. We'll get to that more here on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan. There's not many more ways that David Zaslav, the executive of Warner Brothers Discovery, could have screwed up things for the future of their dealings in the NBA. For those that are unfamiliar, he's the lead executive, and the reason why TNT is not going to be a part of the NBA going forward, because he said point blank publicly, we don't need them, they need us. No, they don't. They don't. In fact, they don't need you at all, to the point of where they laughed at you and said, we're going to take the guys with more money, with a better product, and go to them instead, and that's Amazon. Why that's important is they own the property that is inside the NBA. And they sued because they used this is going to get kind of into the nitty-gritty of it, they used the model that Amazon pitched and sold to get the Amazon rights. And they said that in their contract, they have the ability to match the contract. Well, it was the overall contract, not the underlying points of Amazon's streaming services. And what that ended up doing is led to this lawsuit where they got a little bit something out of it. And it wasn't entirely clear on what that little something was going to be until it wasn't made public, but there was investigative journalism done by Front Office Sports. And they found that what the concessions were for this, as part of the settlement between Warner Bros. Discovery and the NBA, ESPN is now going to sublicense 13 football games and 15 men's basketball games per year of the Big 12.
Yeah, those are the ESPN Plus games that have been pushed to ESPN streaming that everybody has complained way too hard to find, way too glitchy, not very effective. And to be quite honest, ESPN, for being the worldwide leader in sports, their app is not great.
It sucks. It's a nightmare to navigate. It's like, look, I know everybody wants to be ingenious and they want to innovate and they want to do this. Stop.
It is not
Use
user-friendly.
the Netflix model and move on.
Yeah.
They perfected it. It's done.
I will tell you what, at least on my one television at home that is not a cable box TV, that is only Wi-Fi, the three apps that are the poorest performing on there are ESPN, Fox Sports, and the NFL.
Yes.
The three biggest that should be the best.
Yes.
And they are all
because they're all trying
horrific.
to be smarter, because it's
Quit telling me I need to log in. I've logged in 8,000 times.
Right, ESPN's the worst for
the
that.
worst.
Every
it's like
single time.
That remember me
Never
doesn't
works.
matter. It
And
doesn't matter.
And they've added
Fox
the other.
Sports keeps
the
wanting to
two-factor.
give me the
They
free
want to send you the
preview.
code. Yeah, no,
I'm no, I'm not a free preview. I'm logged in.
The thing is, because they're so big, they have to be the smartest in the room. And so instead of taking the Amazon or Netflix model,
or
who
MLB,
Yes.
MLB,
and again, what they have done is taken the Amazon and Netflix model. Like that's
actually they've been doing it for longer.
Yes,
MLB is
they're one of the
MLB
longest running sports app.
Rocks,
and they have it nailed down. But
yeah,
this is not just a one-off. This is going to run the entire 6-year, $2.2 billion package with the Big 12 for ESPN and Fox. Okay, but it's not done there. Okay, there's an additional report that is out there that says the inside the NBA, their product is going to be licensable to ESPN. So that means the show can go over.
Okay.
What that does not guarantee is Ernie, Kenny, Charles, and Shaq all being there. Now, Charles Barkley has been very loud and obvious about wanting his money, but also saying he wasn't going to go anywhere without Ernie or away from TNT because of how good they've been to him. Charles is going to go where the money's going to go because he makes $20+ million a year. The man loves to gamble, and I don't fault him for it at all. But I think he was doing that basically to stand up for Ernie Johnson, who has been a lifer at TNT.
Big Earn.
It doesn't guarantee that those guys are going to go over.
Yeah.
I would expect that they do, and the money is there. But Shaq is currently not under contract to go forward. So Shaq could be a guy who's the odd man out. And knowing ESPN, they're going to want to stick one of their own on there, and we might get stuck with Kendrick Perkins and ruin the whole damn thing.
No. No. What ESPN needs to do, and this is good old-fashioned network trade. We've talked about these network trades over the summer, the college football landscape, right? That's why Ohio State and Oregon was on NBC, is because there was a trade between Fox and NBC for which week they got to select their primetime game and their premium game of the week. By the way, that worked out for NBC and not so much for Fox, because they traded out so they could get Ohio State, Michigan.
Oops.
Yeah. Which is it's still gonna get a killer number, but it was not a top 5 matchup that they were anticipating getting. But now you have another trade. What ESPN needs to do, and one of the big sticking points for Ernie Johnson is, I don't want to be going and leaving town. I want to be in Atlanta. And what they need to do, ESPN needs to say, we will pay for the studio space from Turner. We will get their crew. Their crew stays. The guys stay. Everything is the exact same. We know that what you just said is the most likely path here, in that they're going to want to put somebody on there to prop them up. And then whether it's, Kendrick Perkins or Malika Andrews, and they're going to try and say, no, she can host. It's not going to work.
No.
And they need to just, if you're going to have that name of Inside the NBA, no. It's got to stay exactly the same.
You got to stick with the dudes.
And look, I don't trust ESPN to do that.
Yeah.
I don't. Because this is what happens. Again, this is the same thing with the ESPN app and the NFL app and the Fox app, is we can do it better. Let us show you. And it's like, no, you can't. Stop.
No, don't mess with something that.
Yeah. And you have shown me that you can't.
Yeah. The ESPN app for literal years. That's the funny thing about those 3 apps. They've never been good. And they've gone through so many different iterations. And it's like, quit trying to reinvent the wheel and just do what everybody else is doing. This isn't hard. Like, if you go into Amazon right now, on our Amazon Prime Video, it's very similar to Netflix. The only thing is you don't have is the stupid autoplay, which is a step up for me, because God, I hate the autoplay.
I like it.
I hate it. Drives me crazy.
Oh, really?
I put it on mute because I don't. A lot of times I'm just scanning through stuff and I don't want to. I'm just reading the text. I don't want to hear it. It's bothersome to me.
Yeah, sometimes it gives away like an entire movie, and you're like, well, don't need to watch that
don't
anymore.
even watch that. Thank you. See you later. Bye.
I got it.
Which we can talk, the total squirrel moment, we can talk about how previews nowadays, just in general for movies, give away entire movies.
Yeah.
Bothers me.
Yeah.
I like, especially Marvel movies, where like everybody wants to do every bit of research before, like you have all the Twitter accounts or X accounts or Blue Sky accounts, whatever social media, like TikTok. Like, these 4 people are cast in here and these are the surprise characters they're playing. It's like, well, thanks for that, jerk.
Don't need that.
I want to go back to the old days of the, what was his name? The guy that voiced all of him was like Don LaFontaine.
In a world.
Yes,
dead.
in a world.
Yeah.
Where,
He's dead. He's dead.
He is dead.
But he didn't do an AI voice?
That was the heyday of...
Probably not.
They could probably take his old trailers and do an AI voice.
That was the heyday of
you
movie
could
trailers.
just go to some dive bar and you can find a guy sitting out. Hell, get Patrick Harris to do it. Have Patrick Harris just be like,
ooh, there you go.
And
that's a good gravelly voice for it.
He could do movie trailers.
Make sure he sucks down a couple of heaters beforehand.
Call them Marb Red 100s. Call it good.
Well, that's why you go outside of the dive bar. I mean, you want the guy on the sidewalk ripping heaters. That's how you do it. It's not that hard. It's just like the app thing. Don't outthink the room.
Yeah.
Go to a dive bar on the
about it.
sidewalk, wait for that guy to walk out, strike up a conversation, be like, say in a world. Hired.
Bigger for text lines. Can we maybe get all these channels together in one spot? Oh, wait, never mind. That's cable.
Yeah,
well, we're getting so close.
Oh, yeah. Did we reinvent it again?
We're getting so close.
Is that it?
They're bundling so many things together now.
But just let me do it on my own accord. I don't need C-SPAN 1 or 3.
No.
Let alone 2. I don't need 2.
And
Why do we have 2?
And if the government wants to pay for it, they can pay for it. Oh, wait, that's us.
Yeah. Well, but it shouldn't be on my cable bill.
No, it should not. Be better about our taxes.
Look, Univision, great.
This is
I've never watched it in my life.
This is the
I shouldn't be
closest
paying
I'm
for
going
it.
to get to politics on this show. Just let it be the Doge department take care of it.
I want the John McCain what was it, a la carte cable. Just let me pick it.
Have you seen it? Like that's a real thing. Like if you go to Twitter, the @Doge is a real thing. The Department of Government Efficiency. It has
well,
the
and all I can
actual,
hear
like,
when I hear the Doge thing is that damn dog.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean it's off the Dogecoin. It genuinely is. But like
did they do? Was that on purpose?
Yes.
Was it on purpose?
100% was on purpose.
So we're getting trolled.
Yes. Our government is trolling us. That's what's happening. All right, coming up next, we pivot to some NFL because there's a metric crap ton, the actual measurement.
So much.
NFL stuff that we need to get to. Rookie quarterbacks on a tear, coaches that should be fired, somehow not, and the Chiefs fall down. All that and more coming up here on Dan and Dusty, 1080 The Fan.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust here with your SportsCenter update. First on The Fan, the Oregon Ducks remain a unanimous number one in the AP and coaches polls after a come-from-behind win over Wisconsin on Saturday. Likely to be the number one seed again in tomorrow's college football playoff rankings. A very solid chance they'll be the lone undefeated team after this weekend when they're off, but Indiana heading to Ohio State and Army going to Notre Dame. In the NFL, the Cowboys host the Texans for the Battle of the State of Texas to wrap up Week 11 in the NFL. 5:15 kick on ESPN and ABC. The Texans are 7.5-point favorites. Giants head coach Brian Daboll Announcing today they're benching Daniel Jones in favor of Tommy Cutlets DeVito. Jones will be the number 3 QB. Drew Lock serving as the backup. Jones has a $23 million injury guarantee in his deal for next season. It becomes fully guaranteed if he's injured and cannot pass a physical in the offseason. And on the hardwood, the Blazers riding a 3-game win streak. They hit the road for a 5-game trip starting Wednesday in Oklahoma City against the Thunder. The trip also includes a back-to-back in Houston against the Rockets and visits to the Grizzlies and Pacers. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rest at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Live, local, and free. No subscription required. Portland's sports leader is 1080 The Fan. This is Danny and Dusty.
What in God's name is going on in here? What was that ruckus?
With Danny Meringue and Dusty, the Fan Man Hera.
What ruckus? I was just in my office and I heard a ruckus.
Danny and Dusty on the Odyssey app.
Describe the ruckus, sir.
And 1080.
Don't mess with the bull, young man. You'll get the horns.
The Fan.
Hour number 3 here on a Monday afternoon here on Danny and Dusty. Whether you're listening on 1080 AM, watching along on YouTube.com/1080AM The Fan, or Twitch.tv/1080AM The Fan. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for hanging out with us on this glorious Monday afternoon. We've got a lot of college football that we'll still get to probably tomorrow. But we have a metric crap ton of NFL to get to.
I love it.
Do you want to start with the seeing God bleed? Kansas City Chiefs go down?
Yeah, man. That was a hell of a football game, too.
It was a good football game. It was one of those ones where at Moda, I've got it on the second monitor right there.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of keep my eye on it, watching what's going along. And, well, what happened, I think, again, we were on Friday when we were talking about this, is this was going to be a game that the Bills weren't going to lose. It's not a game that the Chiefs were going to win. It was going to be a game the Bills weren't going to lose. And Josh Allen pretty much made sure of that.
Look, Chiefs have been flirting with that disaster for a while now, but they are winners and they know how to figure it out, right? And that's like been the thing, is when you do it so many different ways, it's a winner. You're not lucky. But when you had to go to Buffalo and you've been grinding out these wins, we talk about this in college football, right? Look at all of the teams in college football that the grind of the season wears you down, and it's going to happen at some point. That's why the undefeated season is damn near impossible in the National Football League. That's why the 72 Dolphins are the only ones to have done it.
God, Larry Zonka.
That's why the New England Patriots 18-1 with that one game. Finishing it off was the hardest part because of that grind that you have to go through over the entire season. It's really hard to do.
Even if it was 3 more games than the Dolphins got through.
They won more games without a loss than the Dolphins did. But when you think of the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes and just the dominance that they have shown, this isn't some sort of like indictment. And I love that loss was all of a sudden some turning point where Vegas now has the Lions as the odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl because of one game.
Which is funny. I think that's just enticing bettors more than anything else.
That's all it is.
Well, and the other part of this is the Chiefs should have lost before this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we can all be honest about that. That's fine.
Find ways to win.
Yeah, and the likelihood and the potential outcomes that were there, the Chiefs were on the unlikely side of a lot of different outcomes, and that's fine. And that's what the Patrick Mahomes difference was. But Mahomes was not good in this game.
No.
And this is, again, he's been an average quarterback this year. We were talking about it on Friday. You look at his performance, the only times he's been good, like above just normal, has been some closing drives, which, yes, that matters. It secures games.
Matters,
but outside of that, he's been mediocre at best. And the bar for him is significantly higher.
I still have so much belief in that team, though, because these losses, too, how many times do we see those losses avenged in a playoff matchup, right?
And that's what for the Bills we talked about on Friday. They needed to win this game, but what matters for the Bills is that if they match up again in the playoffs, they have to get over the hump on this team.
And there was a strain that the Bills played with, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, Josh Allen literally said, hop on, I'm going to go. Yeah. And we know this about the Kansas City Chiefs. This is what dynastic teams do, is they will say, now is not the time to push all of our chips to the table. Like you said, right? This is a game that Buffalo, they were not going to lose. No. They needed this win as like we can do it. We can push momentum. We know that we can get over the hump here. And it's a regular season. And with Kansas City, they don't play like that. And dynasty teams don't play with that kind of mentality because they've reached the mountaintop. They know what it takes, right?
Twice
in a row.
Yeah.
The Bills, you go, Josh Allen rips it 40 times. He carries the ball 12 more times, and he took some licks in that game.
Also hands them out.
They were playing like they were playing in a playoff game, and the Chiefs were playing like they were playing in a regular season game. It's a good win for Buffalo, no doubt about it. It's not the worst loss, though, and I don't think it's some sort of like
indictment
tell-all of what the Chiefs are this season. They lost by 9 points in a game that it was a lot closer than, the 9-point differential was. It was nip and tuck the entire time.
No, the Bills turned them over, and that was the difference.
And Patrick Mahomes turned the ball over, and he has been doing that a lot more this year than he has in the past. I think if you want to look at one thing with Patrick Mahomes, it's giving up the football has been something that has been a bugaboo for him.
He's got 15 touchdowns and 11 picks in the season. He is very much smack dab in the middle of mediocre performing quarterbacks this year.
But when it matters the most, he performs, and he's really damn good at it.
The flip side of that is Joe Burrow has been one of the most successful and efficient and productive quarterbacks in the entire NFL this year, and they're 4-8 now.
Yes, and I don't know what much more Joe Burrow can do. I mean,
nothing. He's literally leading the league in passing by over 200 yards. I think he's still leading the league. Yeah, leading the league in touchdown passes. He has a 27-4 touchdown interception ratio.
How about this from Evan McPherson, their kicker? He missed 2 field goals yesterday, and the Chargers beat the Bengals 34-27. In the 41-38 loss to the Baltimore Ravens, he missed a field goal. In the 38-33 loss to Washington, he missed a field goal. In the 26-25 loss to the Chiefs, he missed an extra point in that game. We were talking about Joe Burrow needs to be perfect. Their kicker has been far from perfect. And you're starting to see frustrations boiling over. And I think that the Chargers-Bengals game, both sides of the coin there, you can look at it and say, coaching matters so damn much in football. And Jim Harbaugh, the faith that they have that wins tight ones. This is Justin Herbert after the game talking about their mentality now.
Well, I'd say there's plenty of games over the past 5 years that we have pulled out and we have closed, and it's always part of the NFL. You're going up against really good teams, and they've got an incredible offense that we saw. So it's all about playing consistently, playing complementary football, and I thought the defense did a great job of coming up with some big stops. So it's on us to be able to execute the third quarter, fourth quarter, but it was really good to see from those guys fighting.
They've got some of them over the last 5 years, but they have a belief that they are going to win those tight games. Joey Bosa said it after the game, no, we believe in Jim Harbaugh. Like, there's a connectiveness with that team where they believe in Harbaugh that they are not going to lose those games. You take the Bengals, on the other hand, it is the complete opposite, where they're starting to lose that faith that they can win those tight ones.
If you look at teams in one-score games, the minimum of at least 10 one-score games with their head coach, and this doesn't count necessarily Harbaugh it does count the games that Harbaugh has with the Chargers, but it's more reflective of his time with the 49ers. Kevin O'Connell is first in the NFL in winning percentage, 22-10 in one-score games. Nick Sirianni, 21-10. D'Amico Ryans, 12-6. Jim Harbaugh, 24-13. Your bottom coaches, Eberflus, 5-17 in one-score games. Zach Taylor, 21-32. Jonathan Gannon, 5-7, just not that many. Todd Bowles, 25-35. Doug Peterson, 32-43.
And that's that belief in Jamar Chase after the game. I don't know if I have heard a player seem more out on his coach or where they are at than Jamar Chase after the game.
Just called this the most frustrating season of his career. Would you say the same?
Yeah.
Why?
What's our record?
4-7.
No, that's why.
Can you explain why the inconsistency has been there all year? You guys can't seem to string together plays or quarters or halves.
I don't know, man. I don't know what we're doing. I don't know why we're not finishing. I don't know what we're doing to give ourselves an advantage to finish. I don't know.
Still be like, are the playoffs realistic at this point? 4-7. Do you feel like y'all can? Joe said y'all gotta get to 10. That's winning out. How realistic do you think is that given y'all's form?
Honestly, I don't know, man. I have no clue. I still believe in the guys in this locker room, though. We just got to find ways to finish.
You've seen Evan make finish. Like, I've heard everybody obviously knows you need to do. But what do you do?
How do I do it? I don't know. Ask Zach. Ask the coaches. Don't ask me. That's not my job.
To finish?
I play football on the field. I don't call plays for us, you know? So I can't really do nothing.
Do you think that's part of the finishing factor is plays stuff?
I don't know.
You've seen?
I wasn't saying nothing.
You've seen Evan obviously make plenty of big kicks. Obviously, he missed 2 tonight. What do you say to him? Do you say anything?
No, I didn't tell him nothing, but he knows to make those kicks. You know, that's why we paid him those bucks to make those kicks in crunch time.
Did you guys change anything in the second half? I mean, you had that great.
Change anything?
Yeah, you had that great 9-minute run there. We got the 3 touchdowns.
We didn't change nothing. We just stayed with our offense and executed.
Boy.
Well, I mean, beyond everything you said there, one thing the Bengals can do is not drop the ball.
Yeah.
The number of drops they had last night, I can't find the exact number, but I saw at least 5 that were big-time plays. Gesicki dropped the one in the end zone. Higgins dropped one in the end zone. Chase dropped one for what kept a drive going. Like, you just kind of look at that and you just kind of go, look, Joe Burrow's completion percentage last night was barely above 50, 20 to 50. He had 356 yards and 3 touchdowns, and he would have had a ridiculous game.
Yeah.
If guys hold on to the bleeping ball.
The bigger thing there is when you hear Jamar Chase say,
he's defeated.
I believe in all of the guys in the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
And then when any question, it's, I don't know how to fix it. Ask Zach. Ask Zach Taylor. Ask our head coach. I'm with the guys here. I'm separating myself.
Sounds
from him.
very similar to Micah Parsons with Mike McCarthy.
100%. And that's a tough spot. And you know that Evan McPherson is the loneliest guy in that locker room because guys like Jamar are saying things like that, right? Like, he knows he's got to make those kicks. Like, that's why we pay him the bucks.
And if I'm not mistaken, I believe Jamar is still leading the NFL in yards and touchdowns.
I mean, he is one hell of a player,
despite
man.
missing, 2 games to start the season?
He is insane.
He's insane.
Insane. That play where Burrow is like rolling out, like, dude, go this way. Like, literally giving him a hand signal, like, get it, go over here. Then boop.
Hey, you two, over here. Look up here.
I mean, they have a relationship. Obviously, it goes back to college and that understanding. But
they're toying with teams, and Joe Burrow has to be perfect because of everything else that's going on around them.
I mean, giving up 34
points
to the Chargers should that should be a fireable.
But what I think is incredible is the Chargers are that team right now.
They keep finding a way. And if you're
Lad McConkey,
pretty good.
The one guy you've got to slow down. He gets bare open.
No.
He is wide open. And they move the ball down with ease to win that game and seal it. That was a game where the Chargers damn near gave it away. They almost, the Herbert fumble, you're sitting there going, oh boy, here it comes again. Nope, found a way to win.
Mm-hmm.
Harbaugh is, he's the best coach in football.
Yeah,
any level.
I don't think you're wrong.
And you see what he is able to do in these quick turnarounds. They're without a dominant receiving core. They're finding a way to do it. They're
Their offensive line is
winning
mincemeat, and they still get it done. If you're somebody who believes in this Bengals team, and they haven't given you much reason, they do have a path, but they have to win 2 games against the Steelers.
The Steelers, who they got a big win against the Baltimore Ravens over the weekend, man.
Which is, I think, where we need to go next. We'll talk about the Steelers and Ravens as the other big game this weekend, and then
Matt Eberflus. Can we talk about Matt Eberflus?
Oh, yeah. We'll talk about
what was that?
He's not flusing anymore. We'll talk about the Bears, Caleb Williams, and all the rookie quarterbacks coming up here next here on Danny and Dusty today. The Fan. Well, last week we talked about, are the Steelers for real? Can we see them become a team that actually matters? Are they the fun, plucky General Steelers of the Mike Tomlin era outside of Ben Roethlisberger? And then they go out and they handle the Baltimore Ravens and keep them from becoming the big, dynamic, explosive offense, holding them to 16 points and making Lamar Jackson look human.
They do this to Lamar Jackson, and they have against Lamar his entire career. Like, Lamar's only 1-4 against the Steelers.
It's tough. I mean,
it's really
who has a good record against the Steelers, though, to be fair?
Yeah, but the defense of the Baltimore Ravens,
they know how to handle him.
The Baltimore Ravens defense. They gave fits. Russell Wilson was not good yesterday, and that was the Steelers defense riding Lamar Jackson all game long. Like, they do a phenomenal job against Lamar, and those are one of those matchups, divisional matchups, the rivalry ones that you get the best shot of every team every single time.
And they've seen him so many times. They know. And
it's
the game plan.
It's familiarity with both the coaches. Yeah. No two coaches have played each other more than those two guys, except for Curly Lambeau and George Halas, was it? I think those are the only two coaches that faced each other more.
Two division coaches that both have Super Bowl titles, that both have gone through multiple eras, multiple quarterbacks, multiple different generations. Like that's what this team is.
And you saw Baltimore took away Russell Wilson's shots downfield. He had to try to throw the ball underneath. He couldn't do it again. And this is not a Russell Wilson that's going to win you a playoff game, because good teams in the playoffs will take that away. It does kind of wake up Baltimore, though, the unstoppable force. And look, Derrick Henry fumbled in that game. Like, Derrick Henry never fumbles.
What does he have, like 4 on his career? It's insanely.
I think it was like something like, what was I think it was like 257 carries or something like that since his previous fumble. But you also saw only 13 carries for 65 yards for Henry in the game.
No, they ran the ball incredibly well as a team.
But why not feed the diesel engine a little bit more?
And here we are with the Pittsburgh Steelers with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. They're 8-2.
Yeah.
Who the heck saw that coming?
This is Mike Tomlin, man. This is what he does.
Like, we all thought coming into the season, we'd be like, all right, 9-8. Yeah. Not going under 500 for the however many consecutive years.
Derrick Henry has 20 total fumbles in his career on 2,227 carries.
That's pretty good number right there. Do you see Arthur Smith's face on Russell Wilson's interception?
No.
Dude. Go just look up Arthur Smith.
That easy to find?
Because it was a mind blow. Like, no.
Arthur Smith face is the thing that pops up.
And you just go, it was one of those throws that, what are you doing? It was like watching the slowest moving car fall off a cliff.
Mind-boggling, isn't it?
He went full surrender Cobra, huh?
Oh, yeah. I mean, his stash, just everything about it just made it that much better. It was one of those ones where you're just like, oh,
what are you doing?
No. But that was it's a great game. And this is what you get late in the year. We saw it with Seattle and San Francisco, too. Two teams that know each other really well. Doesn't matter who the head coach is in that one. You're going to get a tight game. And Seattle pulls out a win, and that division is even more bonkers than we thought. Arizona Cardinals, 6-4, leading the NFC West. Everybody else, 5-5. There's one game separating.
Just like
first
we all
and worst.
thought.
Well, we did think that division, nobody knew who was going to win. We all thought it was going to be San Francisco.
We didn't think it was going to be the Cardinals in first place at this point late in the season.
No, but Arizona was trending in the right direction. I thought they may be like scratching for a wild card spot, but I didn't think that here we are in week 11 of the NFL's regular season. The Cardinals are atop that division. That's why the NFL is the greatest league in the world right now, because everybody, it's a razor thin margin of error. The dominance of teams, the hope that every team has at any given point during a year that, hey, we might be able to put it together. Hell, there were some stupid Jets fans that still thought, hey, maybe we get a win this week. No, you didn't. You lost to Anthony Richardson, and thank God they moved back to Anthony Richardson in that game, because, my goodness, He was the battering ram that they needed to win that game.
He gave out concussions.
Yeah.
Which I think is a good place to go next.
Okay.
Whoa. Well, giving out concussions. No, it's the young quarterbacks in the NFL and the week that they had and the weeks that they have had this season. Are we looking at the next crop of great quarterbacks in the NFL? We'll get to that and more coming up here on Danny and Dusty. But first, just the Big Kahuna, the Sports Center update.
You ever had a Big Kahuna burger?
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by A&E Plumbing, Heating, and Air, serving Portland, Southwest Washington, and the Gorge. Online at aneheatingandcooling.com. It is indeed hard to stop a train. First on The Fan, the Oregon Ducks remain the unanimous number one in the AP and coaches polls after a come-from-behind win over Wisconsin on Saturday. Likely to be the number one seed again in tomorrow's college football playoff rankings. A very solid chance they'll be the lone undefeated team after this weekend. They're off, but Indiana heading to Ohio State and Army going to Notre Dame. In the NFL, Giants head coach Brian Daboll announced today they're benching Daniel Jones in favor of Tommy Cutlets DeVito. Jones will be the number 3 quarterback. Drew Lock serving as the backup. Jones, a $23 million injury guarantee in his deal for next season. That becomes fully guaranteed if he's injured and cannot pass a physical in the offseason. The Cowboys host the Texans for the Battle of the State of Texas. That wraps up Week 11 in the NFL. 5:15 kick on ESPN and ABC. The Texans are 7.5-point favorites. And the Blazers, riding a 3-game win streak. They hit the road for a 5-game trip now, starting Wednesday in Oklahoma City against the Thunder. The trip also includes a back-to-back in Houston against the Rockets, and also visits to the Grizzlies and Pacers. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Jump back to earlier parts of your favorite fan shows on the Odyssey app. The only way to rewind Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan.
Hey, it's
Will they, won't they? The Indianapolis Colts made their decision to go back to Anthony Richardson. Turns out, playing the 6'6", 260-pound battering ram who has an absolute cannon for an arm.
Oh, say what?
Is a good idea.
That's
Develop
good?
that.
No way.
Did you see the throw that he had up the seam?
Yeah, well,
holy.
He's got a howitzer. It's consistency with him, but
Yes.
you can't build consistency sitting on a damn sideline.
That ball that he threw, I can't remember the wide receiver's name, number 14, for the love of God, it's killing me. But go route up the seam, and the touch on that throw, without the ability to step up in the pocket, it was just, you go, oh, I get it.
They don't win without him.
No, because
yesterday,
they got down to the goal line and
they
said,
needed him to
stop
run.
this.
And he is a battering.
And they went +1 in the run game, both times running out to the left-hand side, which is what you do when you have your all-world left guard. And it's just, That's what they do, man. Like, you just get in behind Quentin Nelson, have your monster quarterback turn the corner. That Jets defensive back, God bless his soul for thinking he was going to make that play. How he avoided concussion protocol, I don't know. But he got up, and he definitely had the look of, which way did he go, George? Which way did he go?
That was a good win for the Colts, who desperately needed it. I mean, I don't think it's indicative of any team or any direction that either one of these teams is going to go for the rest of the season. But it was finally the Colts allowing their project to be developed, and you need to have that for them to know one way or another with Anthony Richardson. This is year 2. You didn't get much out of him year 1 because of the injuries, and then you pulled a hook on him so quickly this season. He's going to suffer. Let him go out there and suffer, but you bring him back and you get a win. That can win over your locker room too, because that was a big one was, all right, does the locker room have any faith in him anymore? And when you come out and you get a win and he is the reason why you get that win and you have to grind that thing out, that is good for the Colts moving forward. But I don't know what it means for them for the rest of the season. 5-6 right now, dude, anybody can get in the playoffs.
So weirdly in the thick of things.
The AFC is such a weird spot right now. And you're going to have a lot of these teams that are meddling in the middle, where these next few weeks are going to mean a whole heck of a lot to where are they in or are they out? But with this week in the NFL too, though, we got to just like pull the ripcord and not believe in any of these teams anymore. Whether it's like the Jets we can finally put them to bed. We can finally put to bed the Raiders and the Patriots and the Titans. And
Jets, Patriots, Browns, Titans, Raiders, Jags. Like, that's...
You guys are all dead to us
But
now.
from 10 through 6, that's that mix, right?
Who the hell knows?
Like, we talked about the Bengals. Are they dead? Probably. But they do kind of control their own destiny because they do play the Steelers
And
twice.
I think we can put to bed the Bears. Like the Bears at 4-6 right now, especially when you have the division that you're playing with Minnesota and you're chasing Detroit. Yeah, good luck. Good night. That thing is over. But now at least we can look to, with that loss and the way that Matt Eberflus lost that game, chasing points
when you don't the whole go for 2 thing. I'm pro aggressive. I get it, but you did it when you didn't need to.
I don't
take the one. They need the touchdown.
But that is the less egregious move that he made, because the most egregious was, why not run a play to get your kicker closer?
Yes.
Have you seen the numbers on Cairo Santos inside of 40?
Yeah, it's automatic.
100% inside of 40. They were 46-yard field goal that got blocked.
Mm-hmm.
He's like 73% or something, like 76% from 46 or more. All you needed to do, you had plenty of time. You just sat there and wanted to run the clock. It was second down. You could have run the football, tried to get some more yards. He tried to sell it as like, oh, well, we didn't want to fumble. What?
Well, don't hand it to your offensive lineman.
If you're playing the numbers game, the chances of fumbling the football are far less than making a 46-yard field goal. Like, there was no reason.
And the hilarious part about this is that Eberflus and the Bears are sending a petition to the NFL saying that the Packers got on their center.
Yeah, okay, good luck. Let me see how that happens and how that works out for you. But there's also, like, the Packers are saying after the game that, like, we were targeting, Cairo Santos and his launch angle off of his foot. If he's outside of 40, we know it's going to be low, so we went up for it.
Yeah.
And they knew exactly where that was going to be. And
special teams plays being big time over the last couple of weeks on end of game field goals. The Chiefs,
Broncos,
hitting on Forsyth on the outside, and then this here, knowing the launch angle and how you want to get there. Like that's some more granular stuff and pulling it out when you need it.
Yeah, special teams matter, man. And special teams coaches are getting better and better.
Also, by the way, Matt LaFleur, one of those coaches that was very, very high up on the one-score game win-loss thing that I was mentioning.
Oh,
earlier.
really?
I think he was like 4th.
But in all of this, though, we're talking about Matt Eberflus and him screwing up a game that Caleb Williams put him in a position to get a potential game-winning field goal, and they find a way to lose all of these games. He looked far more comfortable, like he was getting the ball out quickly.
There was a plan.
Ran the football, and he looked a lot better. And all of the rookie quarterbacks right now are looking really damn good.
Bo Nix had his best game as a pro. He absolutely crushed the Falcons. He was accurate as hell, and it wasn't just the little 4, 5, 6 yard throws. He was all over the field.
Right now, and in that game, Bo Nix did something that no rookie quarterback has ever done. In the throw for, throw for 300 yards and 4 or more touchdowns and complete 80% or more of your passes. And Nix is playing at a really high level right now, and he has been for a lot of weeks in a row. I think if you go back to week 4, Bo Nix is completing 66% of his passes.
Mm-hmm.
He's thrown for 1,675 yards. He has 188 rushing yards, 14 touchdown passes, 2 rushing touchdowns, a receiving touchdown, and only 2 interceptions since week 4. He is putting up funny numbers. And look, this is with a Broncos team that they are still lacking weapons for him to throw to, and they're finding a way. And that is, everybody talked about the Sean Payton-Bo Nix relationship, and now the system fit the quarterback. It was going to take time to get that comfort. I didn't think that it would come this quickly, but Bo Nix, you're seeing that. And there is validity to that Rookie of the Year conversation and him getting closer and closer to that Rookie of the Year. Jaden Daniels, if you look at his numbers, 2,338 yards passing, 10 touchdowns, 482 rushing yards, and 4 rushing touchdowns, has a 7-4 record. Bo Nix, 2,300 yards passing, 14 touchdowns, 300 yards rushing, 4 rushing touchdowns, 1 receiving touchdown, and a 6-5 record. The numbers are pretty even.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in the division that he's playing in, we're going to find out with Bo Nix, is a better division than the NFC East. The Chiefs and the Chargers,
the Chargers
are way better than
Chargers
any of the turd burgers that are sitting around the NFC East, with the exception of the Eagles, right? Like, the Giants are terrible, the Cowboys are terrible, and absolute messes, and in the AFC West, it's only the Raiders that are that. You know, I'm sorry.
No.
But
no.
we know where
we
know where we're at.
We
right
know
now.
what we want them to be.
Yeah.
Beyond Bo, you've had Caleb look functional.
Yep.
You have got Bo have a great week, and I think the Jaden Daniels stuff. I heard him talking about it. God, I can't remember what show I was listening on the way in. They are also leaning very strongly into the ribs are not good. Like that's the thing that's limiting him. But your quarterback, Drake May, even in a loss, the numbers that are coming out on him, like the advanced analytics on everything, are insanely favorable.
30 of 40, 282. 2 touchdowns and interception. Bad interception. But
Gruden signed with Barstool this last week, and he did his big push, and they were talking about this young class of quarterbacks and how high he was on them. And they asked him, who is the guy from this class that is going to be the one? It wasn't Bo. It wasn't Caleb. It wasn't Jaden.
Drake May.
Drake May was the guy that he was like, look, man, he has got all of it.
He looks good. They need to keep him upright. That would be useful. And then they need to start getting him some weapons, which has been an inability of the New England Patriots for a very long time, is to draft, develop wide receiver play. But Matthew Stafford, after the game, he was glowing in his praise of Drake May. He was like, dude, it was amazing just to watch him.
Mm-hmm.
And Drake May's, look, he's the franchise may let him down.
Yes.
I mean, in all honesty,
because there's so many things that they need to fix.
They have a lot.
Offensive line, any weapons. It's not like get them a weapon. It's like any weapons.
Gerard Mayo as a head coach and some of the decisions that he makes, I give him a little bit of grace because it's like he has to gamble for with the defensive side.
Yes,
because
the offense is so inept.
You can't do it. No. Like they run the ball okay, okay,
but in the passing game they just can't.
No, it was good to see Kendrick Bourne, local guy, get one of his get his first touchdown of the year, though. I like to see that. The pride of Milwaukee High School, Kendrick Bourne, Eastern Washington.
There you go.
Eagle.
Babe.
Huh? Let's go.
But I think the grander scale of all of this is this, not even just this rookie quarterback class, this rookie class.
Yeah.
It might be truly special. just going up and down. You look at these guys that were all taken in this draft. I mean, we're not going to see J.J. McCarthy, obviously.
No. Michael Penix, not going to see.
What was he throwing the ball, 6 times?
He has. That's a lot.
Yeah, I think that's what he's gotten in for.
All right.
If I'm not mistaken.
Big Penix energy.
Okay, but you go through here.
We had 4 attempts yesterday.
Joe Alt looks like an absolute monster for the Chargers.
Brock Bowers.
Malik Neighbors. Brock Bowers. Fuaga was having a lot, but I mean, like right out of the gate. You just kind of go down the list and you're just like, oh my God, this Quinyon Mitchell, what he is doing at corner,
I'm telling
for the
you,
love of God.
We are going to see draft classes get better this year, this past year, and then next year. You're going to get a bump because we got the COVID kids who stayed an extra year, right? That's invaluable. NIL will help development
keeping
of
guys
NFL
in school.
players. Guys will not be jumping so early because they don't have to roll the dice so they can get to the NFL and make money. They can make money in college. That is going to be good. It's going to be good for college football. It's going to be better for the NFL because teams won't have to take a flyer on a guy and say, well, we think we can develop. If we give him an extra year, the Anthony Richardson thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Anthony Richardson thing, where he was a baby. He was a baby coming in.
He had just turned 20.
And you're going to see teams go,
stay in school, dog.
Let's stay in school. And though looking for the next NFL contract, it's not going to be as you don't have to get there as early if you stack a couple milli when you're in college.
The argument will always be starting the clock early.
Yeah.
That's the pushback.
Yeah.
But as we're seeing, look, Daniel Jones got generational money, but I think you're going to see teams be wary of the Daniel Jones mistakes. And again, coming out of this week, the Giants have made the change. They are done with Daniel Jones, and in all certainty, you will not see Daniel Jones as a quarterback for the New York Giants, and you probably will never see him as a starter in the NFL again. I think that book is probably done. He's patchwork, backup. He'll be a backup, but he did secure $140 million that he would not have gotten.
Get that money, baby.
Look, if he stays in school or comes back for a 5th year, all that kind of stuff,
Now they got Tommy DeVito. They're not even going Drew Lock.
No, and it's a good thing that Saquon Barkley has proven to be washed up.
Yeah, that guy, man, they made the right move there.
Having that all on tape with Hard Knocks, I don't know how many franchises will be willing to do that ever again. To have that open discussion in the front office.
Yeah. Well.
Ever again. Because, boy, oh my. Daboll's going to be coaching for his job, which is insane, because he was straddled with Daniel Jones, and then Saquon Barkley was given away.
Yeah, I still don't think Brian Daboll's a terrible coach.
I think he's a great coach, to be honest. He has his faults, and I think I look at him the same way I think I looked at Andy Reid with the Eagles. Very good coach, quarterback developer, puts guys in right places, has some game misconduct type stuff where you're like, ugh, like, I don't know, opting not to bring a kicker with you.
Yeah, that's a big one.
That was a big one.
That's a big one.
But I like him, and I think I see a lot of the same things that he got criticized for, a lot of the same game stuff that Andy Reid did. But if the Giants fire him, look, again, as a Raiders fan, fire Antonio Pierce, bring in Brian Daboll. I think that's a good place to start.
Yep, that seems like a decent place to start.
Doug Peterson still has a job with the Jaguars. That's also interesting.
For now.
Who gets fired first, Eberflus or Peterson? Peterson just lost 52-6.
Yes.
Honestly, Eberflus, because he just lost 52-6 and didn't get fired. Like, if that's not going to get you fired, what is?
I don't know. I think hear me out on this.
I really felt good about that plus 14.
Yeah, you're good. Good for you.
Bears and Jags trade coaches.
No, thank you.
Yeah, no, you're definitely, as a Jags fan, you're on the losing end of that. Peterson at least has like mild redemption. But if I'm the Bears, I'm throwing every last dollar at Ben Johnson. Every last dollar.
Yeah, we'll see.
And then figure it out from there. So, all right. That'll do it for the football talk for today. When we come back, put a nice little bow on today's show before we hand it off to Isaac Zook here on Danny and Dusty, Danny the Fan. As we get out of here, a little news and note. The craptastic Monday Night Football game featuring the Cowboys cannot be flexed out because of The Simpsons.
Wait, what? Where would they flex it to? The moon?
Yeah, I don't know. There's a Simpsons altcast that they did all of the lines for and everything. There's like actual capital invested in it. So they're saying, look, we've already done the work. We can't change this.
All right.
So you got to deal with the craptastic Cowboys.
All right.
Sorry.
All right. Oh, that's fantastic.
Gross.
All right, we still got a lot of football stuff we can get
Oh,
to
we
tomorrow.
my God, we have so
we
much.
we barely even scratched the surface here. Up next, you got 4 hours of power. From their mouths to your ears is Prime Time with Osgood Souk. Have a great Monday, everybody. See you Tuesday, noon to 3, right here on The Fan.
Bye.
The Oregon Ducks.
Wow, look at these Black Friday deals on TVs. Samsung, Sony, and LG at the lowest prices of the year, even on their top-rated models. Now we can get that